And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. Today's episode, I'm doing a news recap on all the updates. Namely, Tarkov finally got its patch back that it got stripped away of. We'll talk about that, do a quick recap, and then the arena got a wipe and also an update there. Got some interesting stuff to talk about there. Then we're going to jump over to a few different topics. Crouch walking's been on my mind lately. Gac Plates and Class 6 armors, some weird discrepancies I feel like in the system that we'll get in detail. And then I think after that we're doing the financial report that killed Tarkov, and I think that's most of the highlights for the topics.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, some random stuff will come up, no doubt. It usually does for one reason or another, but we'll see how it goes. So, how is your Tarkov experience going now, Church? You gotta update me because I'm intrigued. I want you to get Kappa. I'm rooting for you. I mean, you're gonna do it. Like I'm invested now. You need to tell me.
It's going okay. I haven't played that much recently, but we got Rashala's guards. We did that. So that's done. What else did I accomplish? Maybe something else, I don't remember, but I took like a break from hunting goons to go and do long line. Because I personally kind of like interchange, and hunting PMCs on interchange is kind of my jam. So we did that. That was fine, and that instantly unlocked the booze quest, and already had all the stuff crafted for that. So I turned that in. So just to do it, a nice little side quest for my own pleasure. And I did run into the goons once on customs. What I've been doing now is just going customs and kind of just not really hyper invested in finding the goons. If I come across them, great, but I got really burnt out. Like I was doing night customs, woods night, shoreline night, like really trying to metagame it, and it just got really SJ6 Tremadol, speed run the map. It just was a little too much, sucking the soul out of me too quickly. So we're playing a lot more relaxed, checking scabs for that Willard's wallet because that is definitely one item I need. I need a Loot Lord plushie and probably some other item that I don't have that I forgot or sold or who knows. So we're on the final stretch here, but just a matter of time at this point.
Which other bosses have you still got to do, or have you done all of the others?
That's it.
Oh, he's the easy one. Okay, fine.
Oh, and I did the guide. That was the other one. The guide was actually I got a quick story on the guide. So I started it like Monday or something, and then came back to it like Wednesday. I did like labs, factories. I figured those two would be like the most trouble. And if I died, it's just a quick reset. And then customs, which customs is kind of scary because customs is like choke points and you spawn on one side of the map, you gotta go to the other. The only like middle extracts is like car, which is a chance base. And if you go that way, there's kind of nothing there. So you kind of like have to keep going out of your way to the extract. And then there's the ZB extract that you need the factory. I think it's ZB13. I can never remember the numbers.
Yeah, it is that one. Okay. Yeah, that's not too bad.
It's not too bad. Actually. You gotta hit the power and then you gotta go there. It's okay. But anyways, I think I end up just going towards. I think I spawned like Krakow, so I had to go to that side, the opposite side of the map.
So you go just go to 11 or something, the safe one.
Yeah, actually, no, I remember I spawned right outside of Mechanics near Stronghold. I didn't realize it was a spawn. Okay. But I was like, oh crap. Hopefully Rashala or Goons isn't here because that would be bad timing. But so I figured let me just I'm not gonna lie, I giga cheese the guide because it's one of those quests that I wouldn't say is necessarily challenging because it's very time consuming, which just isn't. Yeah, I don't know. Just cheesing it isn't fun. So I went to the blue container that you pass through with like the barbed wire to go in between construction and the streets towards gas.
A bit just outside bus station.
Yeah. Well, if you go like, you're inside construction, if you go around the container, there's like a dumpster and trash bags. I jumped up and like hid behind that container and I leaned. So I was like, I'm pretty sure I was like very secure. So I'm playing Marvel Snap while I'm sitting here AFK for like 10 minutes. Because like I just don't, I'm like cheesing this super hardcore. I don't want to get to like all the way to the final one and then like some, unholy thing happens. Nikita spawns level 99 AI Terminator scavel me and I die. I get one tapped in armpit. I just like I can't deal with it. So I'm sitting there for like 10 minutes, and during this time, I'm hearing the grenade launcher go off at Stronghold, and I hear scavs walking, and they're like, planking at the scavs. I'm like, what is this raid's really weird. And then I hear walking next to me, and I'm like, okay, someone's passing, no big deal, whatever. I'm not even gonna bother. I'm still playing my card game. And then I hear a nade go off, and it lands like next to me and blows up. I'm like, okay, that's weird, but it didn't sound that close to me, so I was like, whatever. And then the next another one landed to me, and this one sounded like it was right on top of me. I was like, fuck, someone's hacking. They can see me. Like, mind you, I spawned at mechanics and I darted straight to that spot. So I don't know of any other way I could have been seen. The only two things I could think of, someone spawned gas and ran up on the trains and saw me out of the corner crossing that way, or someone spawned construction and saw me jump back there. But where they
like
were
10 minutes previous though.
Yeah, right. That's the other context. But yeah. So you get my suspicion. Like, I'm highly suspect. So I instantly jump, and once that second nade went off and didn't kill me, because I was accepting my fate at the second nade. I thought the first one was like, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, maybe it's just a fluke. But the second one, I was like, all right, I'm pretty fucked.
I had my name on it, right?
Yeah. So I was like, I just gotta push this guy and just kill him, because he knows where I'm at, So I jump up, push, flashlight, shot him, killed him. But there's another one. So I threw a grenade and just ran across the map. And, I guess I got away. I don't know if that was the cheater. Like, I genuinely think that guy was probably cheating, but there's a small smidgen of possibility that whatever. Anyways, so I ran all the way to like gas station, and then I think I cut through the door, the factory door, into where you flip the power switch, and then I went towards the center.
Like using the key, or
I used the key. I used the key.
The actual key. That's very, very unusual. People don't use the key much now.
Yeah, I figured I'd play it safe instead of doing the jump.
Yeah.
So I used the key. I went through, and I cut left into the center, shot a scav, and then I went to the building with the that kind of looks towards it's like across from USEC and like across from power. It's like in between those. It looks
across from USEC. Oh, is that the one?
It's a blue.
It's got like the dead scav in it. It's got like the
no
blues.
It's the extract that's optional. The other ZB one that has the light. It's that building.
Oh yeah, the one with the like the chemical
part 3. Yeah, part 4. Yes, that
bus
one.
in it.
That's an excellent
the van in it.
file.
Yeah.
So I was in there, and I heard silent shots from the like back towards the train area. So I'm thinking, okay, this guy might have like, if this is still the cheater that's wall hacking, he might have wrapped all the way from Stronghold through gas. Because I'm pretty sure I heard shots near gas at one point. And now he's like cutting me off here. I'm like, great. So eventually I waited for like another 5 minutes. This time no Marvel Snap, but I just waited. And then I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to go for it. So I ran out, went towards, across the fence, made a right, through the trains, up the little hill, and then I start getting shot at by like green tracers, and it's all hitting my like stomach and legs. So I just like,
oh god,
no, pop the green stem, ran out into the street, all the way towards gas, jumped over to gas, went back through the factory gate, cut on the power, popped, like I already popped trimming on SJ6, spread it all the way to ZB extract, went to the ZB extract, saw there was a bunch of dead PMCs, got out, it was already opened, and I was like, okay. And it was like, less than 10 minutes in a raid, but I don't know what happened that raid, because again, it was like green tracers, so it had to be like 9mm, but they didn't touch my armor at all. It was all just like stomach, leg. It was so...
Yeah.
The whole raid was so cursed, and I'm just glad that I made it. I didn't have any issues after that. Like, it was all smooth sailing, but ugh.
That's so weird. So what was the rest of the ordering? Because I always find it's interesting, the guide, because people like, it's definitely just like map preference order kind of thing. And not even like preference, but it's like map danger order. Like people do put customs early normally.
I think after customs I did reserve, which that one was also kind of sketch.
Yeah, I think I did as well when I did it like a while back, yeah.
Because I think I got a pretty good dome spawn, and I was, again, playing where I was sitting on top of dome, but like in the back side, closest to the stairs and
Oh yeah,
Extract was like
the
a little
extract
like
bit. Yeah.
tinting cover me. But a guy comes
Mhm.
up here and he runs all the way upstairs. I'm like, great, it's another cheater coming to come around the corner and then still one tap me. But I shot at him, killed him. I mean, it was a really sloppy fight because I was really panicking because I was kind of convinced, it was just
Mhm.
one of those days. I was just gonna get screwed. So I killed him. I'm like, all right, well, I should be good to go. I think it's been about 7 minutes. I didn't really do my math right, and it wasn't. If I had just touched the body, it would have been enough to tick me over to 200, but it wasn't enough. So I had to do reserve again,
Oh, you
and
did it again. Oh my
it was
god.
fine though. I mean, I got the worst spawning that you could, which is like in the barracks over in the big
Yeah.
field with the GL next to train. So I waited there for another 5 minutes and then just took backpackless, and it wasn't that bad. But then it was like streets probably, which that wasn't too bad. That was just a lot of AFK because that's an hour-long raid. So I basically AFK'd for like I think I left that raid with like 2 minutes left. Like I almost didn't make it out of the raid. It was very close.
I honestly think that makes sense for streets because like people stay like PMCs stay in the raid quite long on streets as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
So you have to be kind of careful. Like even with 20 minutes left, there's still quite a lot of people. There's lots of exposed like sightlines and stuff. And like usually it depends where you start. Sometimes you get lucky, but often you're just like miles away from the extract.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. And I forgot a green flare, so egg on my face. I had to take a
As is tradition.
yeah, had to go to the opposite side of the map, but classic.
Yeah.
Uh,
What was the last map? What's your final map for the guide?
So yeah, then
What
I
did you
think
do
I
at the
did
end?
Night Woods and Night Shoreline something, and the last one was interchange because that's just like my comfort map. Like I'm just very
Mhm.
confident, and that one was super easy. I mean, just take backpackless, wait the timer. I know the
Yeah.
spawns, I know the timings. It's unless the only thing that was like really sketching me out was going towards the extract. There was like a stank rat spot that I would like had to check, and then I had to check the generic camping spots, and then in the
Mhm.
event that someone's also like maybe they're farming killer, or maybe they're also doing the guide. Maybe they're waiting at the extract but not taking it. But it was fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good. You get a buttload of dollars for doing the guide, which is quite
Mhm.
cool.
Hey, you.
I can't remember how much it is. I can have a look, but it's a ton. I remember being surprised because I didn't really look at it last time. So yeah, if you've got Intel Center 2, you get like $28,750, which is like pretty
Wow,
insane.
that's a lot.
Yeah. So in today's money, it's about like 4 mil.
That's a lot.
Pretty sick. So you can just go ham with all the Peacekeeper 4 ammo.
Yeah, you also get AP SX to craft. Where's that at?
Oh, you do APSX craft.
Yeah,
Workbench
which
3.
is kind of nice.
FMJ, capacitors, metal parts, 7 hours. I do like the fact that all the crafts now are shorter. They did shorten a lot of
Yeah,
them for
I'm glad
patch
they made that
14. Like,
change.
yeah, all the 14-hour crafts or whatever, they all seem to have gone. Because like it was just not necessary,
Yeah,
just wasn't necessary. But cool, good. Well, so you're getting there then. You're getting there. Not too far from Kappa now. It's like as you say, it's what, the goons and Tagilla, and then like a couple of items maybe. And you're basically there.
yeah, basically.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. Good. It's good. Cool. Okay. Well, on that note, I suppose we should jump into the what's and the whys and the hows of what's going on. So it's been quite a busy week, actually, Tarkov wise, because obviously we cast normally on a Friday, and all the stuff came out on the Monday. So I guess like the first, we'll just hit things in chronological order. So the first one, which is pretty straightforward, was patch 14.1.1, which was the reroll patch, putting the patch back in again. Like I was like all ready to do like a new patch note analysis thing
yeah,
or like another video or whatever. And when I read it, I was just like, okay, this is like the same. It's just the same. It's the patch they
yeah,
intended to put out, but they've like fixed half of the stuff. So there really isn't that much there that's like different to what we already went over previously. The main things being, I do find it slightly strange. So the recoil rework was not there on pistols, shotguns, and the SKS, which didn't get put in, which is fine. But then the change for the class 3 armors or the class 2 to class 3 armors also didn't get included, but that did get put in.
yeah. They didn't get included in the notes, but it made it
Yeah,
into
in the
the
notes.
actual patch. Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. Because they got included in the notes for 14.1.0, but not for 14.1.1. But they did get included anyway. And it was the same 8 that we were talking about before. So of the of the ones that have full thorax protection and not just the front plate area, which is smaller than the front of the thorax. That is the Trooper, the Highcom Trooper, which is now class 3, soft armor that is, the Bagari, the ANA Tactical M2, and the AVS. So those 4 have actual full thorax protection. So it's like the actual front of your PMC. You know, you can't interact with the front of the thorax without going through soft armor. The other ones, which is the AACPC, the Alzheimer's CPC, the Cry Precision CPC, which is a Goons rig. I think that was the Night one. Then the Tagilla rig and also the Tactec. Those also got up to class 3. But those ones, as a reminder, the soft armor only protects like the plate hitbox, which is smaller than the front thorax. I mean, at this point, I'm almost like, just the armor system in general, I almost feel like it's kind of much of a muchness at this point, because it's like you're just as likely, you're almost like you're talking about like small changes in probability of kill between like the front plate hitbox versus the thorax hitbox, and the fact that you can just be shot in the side anyway.
Right.
It's like I'm still not 100% sure now. Like, yeah, there's a difference, but like, does it practically matter most of the time?
No,
Like,
I
how much does
agree.
it actually increase your survival rate when you get shot at? Like, I'm not that sure anymore. Like, all armor is just kind of garbage these days. It's sort of my general like tendency to lean towards. But anyway, that is what it is, and those 4 are kind of probably the better ones. I think any of them have neck, so none of them are like meta. You know, like the Trooper, Bagari, NAM2, and AVS. None of those have neck protection at all.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're getting new armors that are class 3
Right.
with neck protection. They're all just like decent. I think like the NAM2 in particular is like almost identical to the Thor concealable, which I've been using, which is quite good. So, some of them are okay. The Bagari is like an interesting one. If you like having, that's now like the better version of the Corund at this point. Like there's no, because you can get that Corund armor, that front plate, the class 5 one, like relatively easily. Which is not too bad, but the Corund itself is only class 2 base. So now you've got an armor to at least put that thing in, which is good. They added side plates to the big pipe rig, but like that's literally just inconsequential. I don't think anybody cares. Like nobody has that rig anyway, and it's also a plate protect only one, so kind of whatever. And then there was one extra piece that they did, which was like right at the end of the notes, which was fix the algorithm of fog generation and its density. Now I don't know. I've just seen like sometimes it seems really bad, sometimes it seems better. I'm just not really sure about that one. We're just gonna have to keep playing with it and see. But I still dislike the amount of fog there is in the game. I just don't. There's just like certain scenarios. Like I don't mind it being foggy sometimes, so that's fine. But there's like you can have the day be perfectly bright on streets and you can't see to the end of the map, and I just think that sucks. Like there should be some days. Well, there should be more days when it's perfectly clear. Like there's like certain specific environmental scenarios in Tarkov where you can see a really long way, but they're very few and far between. And even on some kind of like cloudy/sunny days, especially when the sun goes in, it's very, very, very foggy and sort of dark and misty off in the distance. And I just think that should be toned down. I don't think it's like that most of the time, especially if it's just a dry, sunny day with clouds. Like, yeah, there's no lighting from the sun, sure, but like it just needs to be toned down, in my opinion. But anyway, we'll see. We just got to play with it a bit more and figure it out. Like, I've not seen much of it because I've been playing. Well, I played so much labs, so
Yeah, I was gonna ask because I remember seeing screenshots when the patch first dropped, and they were like, it looked really bad. And I think they did a hot fix to fix that. Is that true? Is that the case?
yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it was messed
there was a
up.
hot fix. It was messed up right at the beginning, and then now it's like the way that it should be, but supposedly. But again, it's hard to know. I mean, I haven't seen too many people complaining about it, so I guess it's probably okay. I don't know. You have to like judge it based upon how many people are complaining. I'm not really sure. Because that was the actual so that was the main Tarkov patch. So that was the one that they put in that they wanted to do before. So we covered all the other stuff previously. So things like the bug where you change sites, like that's in. The changes to the BTR and it's the way that it functions has been supposedly fixed. Like I haven't actually tested that myself, but apparently that was supposedly fixed. Like left shoulder having a different FOV to right shoulder, that's also fixed. Like all of those things have all been changed, along with the armor stuff that I think we talked about previously about blunt damage on plates and stuff like that. So we don't need to go through that in incredible detail because I've already talked about armor at length, and I feel that's all I make videos about anymore these days. But So then after that, we then had probably the well, I don't know. Yeah, let's talk about this first. So about the arena wipe, which is the next sort of most interesting thing, I suppose, because they came up with a whole new set of stuff with the patch itself, patch 0.1.5.0, which is going to be our first wipe for arena. And there was a whole bunch of different stuff on this one, which is quite interesting. And I've played 2 sessions of arena now. Kind of just I want to check it out. I want to see what it's like, and I want to get to grips with the game. And we're just like we won't spend too long, but we can like quickly go through the patch notes. So full wipe, the ARP, which is MMR or ELO from matchmaking for people from other games. I don't know why they call it ARP, but yeah. So people who were like grinding arena before and you started with 1500. If you ground arena before and you had over 2000, you actually started again in this wipe with 2000, which is quite. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's almost like placing matches from like a MOBA,
Yeah.
or any competitive game. You do like normally do a placing. This is kind of just an easy way of doing that. It's like, well, if you played and you had over 2K, like you can keep 2K. And I think that's quite good as well for people who are like just rejoining or people who didn't really play much arena. It's like you're not suddenly on day one, you're like matched in with people who are super experienced but are grinding because it's like plus 25 every time you get a win. It takes them I don't know, 20 games whatever to get out of your like matchmaking range. Like this way they're all playing against each other to start with, and you're playing against everyone else. It's like 1500, which is quite good. So that was decent. They completely rebalanced the tier system presets, which is very, very good. I think the whole arena conversation is sort of like overarched with like, is the game fun enough to have longevity, and like, does it compete well enough with itself, like with the base game, to make people want to play it? Because it's like I actually tweeted out, it's like one of the biggest problems with arena is that most people, like 95% of people are here because they love the Tarkov base game, and nothing has come to replace the Tarkov base game. So I don't know, like you've got to choose whether to play arena or the base game. Like we all love the base games, so we'll probably just play the base game. Like it's one of arena's like biggest problems. But anyway, like needless to say, I don't want to talk about that too much right now. Let's just get through the notes first. But it's like that's sort of my overarching feeling about all of this. Even when some of this stuff is really good, because I do think that they fixed it. Right, we talked previously with arena about why the matchmaking and everything was broken because you queued first and matchmaked first, and then picked a kit afterwards, which forced you to, if you're a high ranking player, you had to play like endgame kits, otherwise you were simply just going to lose. And then they kind of like bandaged it over with like a sticking plaster, so it was like an average of the last 5. And because of the old system, you basically had to grind the same kit over and over and over again to get to the next kit. That kind of worked because most people were just playing the same kit 5 games in a row. That's all been thrown completely out of the window now. All the presets have been rebalanced entirely. Have you played any arena, by the way?
No.
Okay, cool. So all the presets have kind of been thrown out of the window completely. They've all been rebalanced. So there's no more like Stag AK with 45 rounder on semi only with like no sight as like the starting kit. Like all of those, like all like the full meme kits are basically gone.
Okay.
They're all much more sensible.
Okay.
There were 5 tabs before, right? So you had rating, which literally was just like depended on your ranking, you could pick these kits, but they gave you no real progression. And then you had 4 other like classes: assault, CQB, marksman, and scout. The ratings tab has been dissolved completely. That's gone because that was a stupid idea. It didn't make sense. So that's completely gone. And they've kind of moved some of those kits into the other tabs, which is fine. So now it's all tree based. The kits have been put into one of 3 tiers. So it's kind of like low, medium, or high tier. There's like 3 groupings of kits now. And within a particular class, so say you're playing CQB, you have the 2 kits unlocked at the beginning, and you will then have the ability to unlock 2 more kits, and they come kind of, like the way it did before. So one kit will lead on to another one, and the other kit will lead on to another kit. But regardless of which kit you're playing, you can pick the kit that you want to unlock next. So you are still reliant upon unlocking the kits in turn, clearly, but you don't need to use the preset that is like directly before it to actually unlock it. Yeah, so like Church has got my stream up here. So if you have a kit, but basically what it means is that you can unlock any kit that you want, as long as you've got it as like, as long as you've got the kit before it unlocked, you can unlock any kit after it, and you can use any kit within that particular class to unlock it, which is a lot better.
So you
it's
can
way better.
So if I'm picking, I don't know, Raider example, I can jump between trees, but it has to be the next one down logically.
So if you're playing Raider, then you can choose. So you can select a kit to unlock out of the ones that are like next in line to unlock. So it's like, you see the ones that are red, like, because they're still linked by a little line. But you can basically, like, if you wanted to, you could use Raider to unlock all the kits. Let's put it that way, because you just choose the kit that you want to go to next. You still have to do them in turn. You still have to unlock them one at a time, but you can use any kit that you have unlocked to do it. You tell the game which kit you want the XP to go into.
Okay, but you still have to go down the line.
You still have to go down the line to unlock it, but you can use any kit to get the XP to unlock that particular preset.
But I can't.
So you could unlock You could unlock the whole right line just using Raider, and not use any of the shotguns ever.
So like here, if I just had these 3 up top, which is
how it would have started, yeah.
Okay, Raider, Papasha, Merca.
Yeah.
If I chose Raider, you select the next one to unlock, basically.
Yes.
But you can't.
And then you can use any of those 3 to unlock it.
But you can't select the very bottom. Like, I can't skip all the way down to the bottom.
Exactly. So Raider, you've got Raider unlocked, so you can then unlock the next one.
Gotcha.
You can like choose the XP to go to the next one. So once that's unlocked, you can then choose the XP to go into the one after that.
So it's either Bustleman or Section 8?
Basically, yeah.
And then let's say I do Bustleman, then it's either Diesel or Section 8.
It's just, whichever one's next. So yeah. Okay. So like I used Raider to it doesn't really matter, but I unlocked Bustleman first and then Diesel. And then once Diesel was finished, then I started unlocking Blackjack, which is the one down in the tier 2 kit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to be in that tree.
Right.
But you can use any kit from that tree to unlock, the one that you want to unlock.
Yeah, that's so much better.
Which is cool. Yeah. Because you can avoid all of the crappy kits that you don't want to play. And it means you can actually like pick different kits for different maps, because you don't feel like locked into, I have to play this kit on like Sawmill, whatever, to unlock like the next one. I have to do something completely random. So that's like significantly better. The only thing that's a little bit weird about this, so the kits are now in like 3 tiers. I've only played in tier 1 to start with, which is the top third. Then you've got tier 2 in the middle and tier 3 at the bottom. So you pick which tier you want to matchmake into first, which is better, clearly, because all the kits in tier 1 are relatively equal power. That's the idea.
So wait a minute. I could take my tier 1 into tier 2 matchmaking?
I actually don't know, because I've not unlocked tier 2 yet, so I'm not sure if you can. But I think you probably can.
Wait a minute. So
but I'm not sure.
Because this seems kind of busted. If I could take my tier 2 kits into tier 1 matchmaking, that seems a little...
You can't do it that way around. You definitely can't do it that way around. But I'm not sure if you can take a tier... I don't know if you can take tier 1 kits into tier 2. I don't really know. I don't know. I haven't unlocked the ability to do it, so I'm not sure yet. Either which way, you probably wouldn't want to do that, because they're like, they're underpowered and they're balanced for that particular ranking. For example, so I was like looking through to try and like see what was the best kits within those particular ones. There is no class 4 armor in tier 1 at all. Like, there just isn't any. That's another issue that I have actually with this, is that the armor display is like really scuffed.
I saw
super
that.
scuffed because they haven't updated it properly for the new armor system. Some are better than others, and some are like really, really bad. Like ones that have got lots of soft armor and like some hard plates and this like helmet. It just shows you all the integrated pieces, like all listed without classes, without durabilities.
Yeah,
like it's really bad. Like the display is terrible. But needless to say, they're all class 3 maximum within that tier. So basically, like 25 pen is like really powerful in tier 1. So I started going down that like Bustleman, like assault line or whatever, whichever one it was, or CQB, I can't remember which it is. But I ended up swapping over to Scout, because you get like the UMP kit with Match FMJ, which is like really good. And there's another one as well with the 74 UB, which is also really good, because that's got can't remember which ammo it is, but it's something like relatively decent, which is also okay. Now, there's something a bit strange about this. So you've got tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. You can only play tier 2 when you have 5 tier 2 kits unlocked, which I thought sounded like a lot.
It sounds like a lot as well.
It's a lot of kits to have to unlock before you're allowed to play tier 2. And then somebody pointed out to me the reason why that was the case. And it's actually a technical necessity because, and I'm sort of like explaining this because I'm explaining this properly because it says here, like in the patch notes, tier system and preset rebalance, right? And it says all of this stuff, but it's not necessarily that obvious exactly what the ramifications are until you've like played it a little bit. So it says, yeah, so it's a little bit later on. It says players can now select only one identical preset per team for more balanced gameplay. Some people were reading this as saying like, select only one identical preset per team. Some people read that as like, you can choose 2 of the same. As in like, you can only have one identical preset, like one extra identical preset. I didn't read it like that. I thought it was 1 per team, and it does seem to be 1 per team. But the issue there is that if it is just 1 preset per team, if you're going to play in tier 2 and people take your kits, the other 4 players take the kits you've got unlocked, you need to have 5 so that you're technically always able to play.
How does the picking order work?
Picking is just like first come, first served for the kits. And when somebody else picks it, it just goes like, oh, this person's picked the kit.
Riplow NPC users are always going to get the short end of the stick.
I've not had a situation yet where I've had a double up of kits, but like, you could bet your bottom dollar that at some point the kits that are good will be worked out, right? And they'll be in high demand. So I think firstly, it's a shame that there's no like you have to click back and forth between the different tabs to see what people have got unlocked, like what people have picked, sorry. And if you don't, it only shows you the kits that you've got unlocked. So if somebody's picked a kit that you just haven't got unlocked, like say somebody's picking one of the marksman kits that is, further down the tree, I just can't see that they picked it.
Yeah.
Like there needs to be some kind of graphic at the top, like in a MOBA, saying like, here's the team, here's what they've picked. Like, and to make it even better, when somebody picks a kit that you have got, and you're like, oh, this person's picked that kit, it grays it out, so you can't even look at it anymore. So you can't even like if you're not, don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of what the kits are, you can't even see what the kit is that they've chosen. So you're like, well, what's on my team? This gun. Well, that's all I can see because that's all I can see from the the tooltip or whatever. So yeah, so this like that could be better, but like the system overall is much more pleasant to play. I actually really enjoyed playing Arena. Honestly, I actually had a good time. I enjoyed it. I much preferred the flexibility of kits. I hated being forced down to I want this kit like in tier 8 or whatever. So now I have to go down this one line only and play the same kit again and again and again and again. This way I could like really go, okay, well I want this kit in the short term. I'll just pick that. Like if I have to grind down one of the other lines, no big deal. They're quick to unlock as well in tier 1. Like doesn't take that long. It's like two wins. I'd say like 2 good wins and you can unlock like one of the tier 1 kits, especially in the sort of first row. Like 3 games, like 2 sort of average wins and a loss, you can normally unlock it as well. So it wasn't, it really wasn't that bad. But yeah, like it was pretty decent. So let's just come in with this. So they have reduced number of frag grenades primarily, which is, kind of good. The first 2 presets of each class are free by default. So you can basically not really run out of money anymore, which is nice. Like you don't just like bottom out and just end up sucking and having to play like the pistol kit. Like that's kind of gone. You can like, for example, Raider is free. It's like it's passable. It's like 74U with a 30 round mag and a little sight on it. Like it's fine. Like the ammo is kind of suck, but it's a playable kit. So yeah, unlucky matchmaking requires 5 presets. Matchmaking now counts for player ARP and the selected preset tier, which is good. And then yeah, so tiers 2 and 3, it says tiers 2 and 3 will be temporarily locked from matchmaking in games until there are enough players who have them unlocked respectively. Now I think after like 1 day, BSG unlocked tier 2 because I thought that was going to be quite fast. I just think like they didn't want like the first person to unlock 5 of the kit and then try to queue. There's like no one there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like some people were complaining about that. Like I don't think it's really that big of a problem. Like I think it's okay. Yeah, it could be more nuanced, sure, but I don't think it's that big a deal. Like it only matters really at the start of a wipe, like right at the beginning, and then they unlock the tier 2 kits and it's fine. Like it's weird because like people obviously are like super grinding down to try and like get the other kits or whatever, and some people are complaining about the grind and that. But it's one of those things where I don't know whether the game is necessarily like It depends if you're actually like a competitive player. If you're like a competitive player, then I can kind of see why you'd want to do that. Because you want practice with all the kits. But like if you're just like playing, I feel like it's almost a bit like World of Tanks in some ways. You know, sometimes you can like actually just enjoy the lower tiers more so, and like I quite like the lower tiers because it feels more like early wipe
Hmm.
fights. You know, I feel like if I get up into the higher tiers, then I'm just gonna get like crapped on by people who are just used to using meta kits, and I'm just gonna get like one tapped every time. I feel like the TTK is just gonna get lower, and it's gonna be like the base game.
Does it
Is my feeling.
match make off performance? Like, how does the ARP?
So I mean, ARP is very, very basic. ARP is like plus 25, minus 25 for wins versus losses. That's literally it. It's like not nuanced in a way that
Mm.
other like rank systems are, which has been an issue previously because like teams of 5 up in the upper echelons were just like playing each other over and over again. Um, or like good teams were just like pulling like way ahead because they were always being matched against teams who were just like not skilled because the player pool was like so small, you know, at that top level. They get matched against like teams that are just like way lower than them and still earning 25. So it's just almost more of like a who can play the most against lower teams problem at the top, like rather than being an actual like matchmaking rank. Because like if you play against somebody who's like 2,000 lower than you in a normal matchmaking system, you only get like 3 points or something, but still lose like 25 when you lose to make up for that sort of almost the implied win rate, if you know what I mean. Like that happens in like chess and other like proper matchmakers. But I don't think it. Hopefully they improve that at some point. At the minute, it's like it's pretty basic. Um, what else? So yeah, so the unlocking thing I talked about that already. One thing that is quite nice is that now you can look at the preset tree while you're matching. So while you're matchmaking,
That's
you can do
nice.
that. The one downside of it is that you can't open it up while you're loading. And when the game works correctly, matchmaking happens in like zero point 0.2 of a microsecond,
Hmm.
which is obviously a good thing. But like as soon as you're in the loading, it's like, oh, you can't look at that anymore because your computer's busy, I guess. So it's like, okay, like even when you're like waiting for teammates and stuff, even when people are like picking kits, you picked your kit and you're waiting for them to pick kits, like you still can't open it then. It's like, yeah, okay. Um, and like the only times that I ended up using it was when I was waiting for matching to happen. And the only reason why I was waiting for matching to happen was because my game is bugged, and if I don't restart, I don't get into a match. I don't know why this is. Seems to basically only be me. Nobody else seems to have this problem. But if I don't restart my game after every single game of Arena, I don't get a game. I literally will sit there for 7 minutes, 8 minutes. As soon
Have
as I
you
restart the
tried to
game,
see how long it
under one
goes?
second. I haven't, no, because I got bored because I was on stream.
Because I
But
saw,
like as soon as
I saw Hayes got like a 7 minute key, or was it 10?
oh man.
He made a post
I
like,
don't
I was just one game of Arena before something, and then later on the post was like, 10 minute key or something.
yeah, it took me 10 minutes to get in. Then it took 5 minutes to start the game. And then we played the game and it went 4-5 and it took like 15 minutes. Like I had one of those. I was like, oh, we'll just play one more before the end. It was like 4:15. I wanted to finish at 5:30. And like, yeah, between all of the stuff, and it went 4-5, so it was a long game. It like went on until like 4:40. I was like, dude, I'm like 10 minutes overrunning. Like the family's in the house.
Hmm.
I'm like, people are like basically banging on the window for me to end the stream. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like, can we just not finish the game? Like, God damn it. I was like, this is not how Arena's supposed to be. Like, if I have spare 15 minutes and then like, I don't know, I just feel like the game should be quicker, right? Like, the whole thing needs to be faster. The matching, between the rounds, like, whatever. Like, I guess between the rounds is fine. Like, once you're in the game, it's okay. But it's all the preamble. Like, the preamble takes too
Yeah.
long, in my opinion. It still does. Like, I don't want to press Q at 4:45 and still, sorry, at 4:15 and still be playing at 4:40. Like, it just be finishing up at 4:40. Like, I just like, it's kind of, I don't know. It's just kind of too long, I think. Because I think that the base game, I think the actual main game only goes on for like 15 minutes. Like, yeah, if it stretches to 20 or whatever with the matching, then that's fine. But I don't know. There's still some issues with loading and stuff. It just takes too long. And like sometimes just like waiting for players, and I'm just like, dude, what are you playing it on? Like a Texas calculator? Like, what is going on here? It's like 3.5 minutes of like waiting for players. I'm like, what are you loading? The map is the size of like my desk in my office. What could your computer possibly be loading here? Like, it almost seems like worse than the base game. Like, I can kind of accept it. Like, if I'm playing Streets or something, and someone's like waiting for players while their toaster like cooks up the map, I'm like, okay, well I kind of can accept that. But on Arena, I'm just like, what in God's name is your computer actually doing? Like, are you like encoding on your CPU at the same time? Like, what's happening?
Hard
Very, very
drives,
strange.
like physical
Yeah.
ones, only I could think of.
Like I did sort of like 50% jokingly rally for the sort of just ban people who don't have SSDs to playing Arena. It's just like it just should. I don't know. I almost getting to the point where I feel like it should just be a necessary hardware requirements, like magnetic discs banned. I'm afraid it has to happen. Okay, so let's just whittle through the last bit. So they did a load of price and unlock balance stuff. So the price of the different kits. Increase the cash rewards for players who contribute more to the victory. So if you're, the Giga Chad on the team, then you get more money, which is cool. Reduce the amount of experience for unlocking a preset. And they did actually do another patch. I'm just going to skip to that because they did another little like hot fix patch as well. Reduce them even more by 20 to 35% for tier 1, 2, and 34% for tier 3. So the unlocking is like even less grindy than it looked to begin with. And it wasn't that bad, I don't think, in this new version. They made the painkillers a little bit better, so like less color loss. And then they've added a load of custom games, which basically is like tournament stuff. So it's like preset tier configurations. So you can specify which presets you're allowed to use within the tournament rule sets. Turning the kill cam off. How many duplicates of presets you can have on a team is configurable. The skill level, like the character skills, like strength, endurance, and all that stuff is configurable. Number of rounds to win a match and configurable team names. All of that stuff is just all like tournament admin type things. Change the fire mode default for weapons to full auto. I'm just like, please add it to the base game, please, or at least like add an option to say, because I did have a few people being like, I don't want that.
Yeah, right. Because I'm so used to it.
Or like even just like, yeah, it's just it doesn't feel in keeping with like I don't know. Some people had like different reasons. Either like I'm really used to it,
Right.
or
That'd be my reason.
like it doesn't. Yeah, or it doesn't feel like it's in keeping with like the game's kind of like I don't know, dynamic or whatever. Like this isn't, it's not like run and gun shooter. Like, it should be on semi to start with. Like, okay, like for fine. So I was like, the correct answer here is to give players a drop down option.
Yeah.
Like people just let the player choose. That's the obvious choice. You just put it in the menu. Same with all these other things. Do you want to be able to do hotkey or vault for auto for vaulting?
Right.
Do you want to have blah 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 like different colors of your HUD and stuff like, and then in there it should just be like default full auto mode. Like it should be. I had one person who was just like, I I hate being mean to people who like say funny, but I was like just taken aback by this comment. I was like, oh my god, like you're coming from such a different like I'd never even could conceive of somebody thinking this. And maybe it was a joke, I don't know, but somebody like commented at me saying like, I think they should add safe mode and that should be the default. Like they need to add safe to the game and then that should be the default mode. And I'm kind of like, okay. I never even like considered that as a thing, but like I sort of see where you're coming from a Milsim perspective, but also like I'm gonna put the drop down on full auto, my friend.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
what are we really doing here? It's kind of my question.
Kind of. They added Chop Shop to Team Fight, which is good because I didn't play Chop Shop before because it was only on Shootout or something, and I don't play Shootout. I just play Team Fight, and it is tiny. It is extremely small. It is smaller than Bay 5. It's smaller than Equator.
I was watching that segment.
Yeah, it's like I was like, oh, I haven't played this map. I need to learn it. I was just like 3 seconds in, off you go through the door, just like instantly headshot. I was just like, oh god, like we are really close. Like we literally spawned like 20 meters apart. This is insane. So it's quite fun, but it basically just takes getting grilled like 5 times. To like understand where people can be, and then you're like, okay, now like now it's like I think it's quite a skilled map in some ways because it's like a bit like Factory. It's like very formulaic. There's only so many places people can be.
Right.
So I quite like it for that. And like after getting killed in a few ways, it's like there was some raised walkways at the edge, right? And the one time I like went along and then like somebody just killed me, and I was like, where was that even from? And then the kill cam comes up. The kill cam is a beautiful thing in Arena. And then they're just like, oh, he was up there. Okay, well, next time I know where to check up there. And then like a bit later on, I was like, right, well, now I've been down there and I've been killed in here a few times. Now I know that I'm on the other side. I can run into this place, which I haven't seen anybody stand, but I can still see up into the bit that people run up in. And then somebody ran up and I killed them. And I was like, okay, like I see how this works now. This is the learning cycle of this game. So that was decent, and Chop Chop's fun. They've removed like a load of grenade spawns on the small maps. They just try to like press on the grenade spam a bit. There's like usually a grenade in the middle of some of the bigger maps, so you can like pick them up partway through. And then other than that, they added the hitboxes, and they added the new armor system to the game, basically, which is controversial within the arena community. I don't know whether it like really contributes towards the skill in arena, but we always knew this was going to happen. It would be kind of weird to have two different systems across two different games, so we just got to live with it. Right, that's it. Like I do think it increases the variability of kills, but ultimately the skilled players will still be skilled, and bad players like me will still be bad. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, I had fun. Honestly, I really enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it quite a lot. Like a lot more than like it was fun last time because it was like completely new. But with the changes, it's like, oh, I don't have to grind just like the same kit a million times. I can just like pick a kit that I like, or I can swap around stuff. Felt a lot more fresh and dynamic in that way. And like, yeah, there were problems and like things that need to be solved on here, but I'm just like really, 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 really hoping that they announce like some more tournament stuff. I keep saying this to chat. People keep asking me about Arena, and I'm like, look, Arena's fine. Like Arena's a fine game. Like it can be okay. Like people are giving it a lot of hate on Twitter and on social media about like, oh, the game's dead and blah blah. But like, I genuinely think the BSG they need to pick up the pace with the tourney stuff. Like a game like this like lives and dies on its competitive scene. And if people aren't really compelled to engage with the competitive scene, or there just doesn't seem to be one, because like right now it's like you have these guys who've like signed up to be pro players for like teams and all this kind of thing, and it's like, when's the next tourney?
Mm-hmm.
Like come on, like it's March, like the first tourney happened in December, like we don't even know when the next one is. Like we should be hyping up when it is. They should at least be teasing it and saying like it's XYZ tourney. Like it just that needs to happen. Like there needs to be more marketing of the tournaments to give people something to look forward to next. Because like right now, it's just like, oh, there's gonna be some tourneys happening soon, and like I know they probably wanted to put all these fixes in before they did that, but even still, like the longer they wait, the like more momentum they lose. I think. I don't know. I don't know. That's like my only sort of criticism of like the way it's been handled, and obviously the original launch, which was not really ideal with the rollout and the pre-waves and all of that. But we've talked that to death before. But I think it could come. I think it could come back. I think it just depends on how it's done. Like it's good fun. It is actually good fun. Like when you're in a game, it's good fun. Having to restart every time is a real slap to the entertainment for me. But as I said, it seems to be a very me specific problem, so I don't really know what the deal is. But like when you're in the game, it's great. I just like to be able to get in a bit quicker, and I can't wait for like unranked where it doesn't have to match make or anything like that, and you could just bang into a game just like straight away. Let's go, and maybe some more game modes that are more casual and more fun. So
yeah, I mean, I definitely think unranked / free for all would definitely be a thing I would absolutely want. Like that might be like if I could guarantee get inside a match within like a minute or two, and like just mindlessly run around and just shoot anything and everything, like that would, and respawns, something like that. Like that seems very appealing to me. That's definitely more. See, it's interesting because I kind of have a different perspective. And I know like we talked about they need to do more tournaments, but I'm really leaning more on they just need to make the game fun to play, or like incentivize people to play. Because me personally, I just feel zero incentive to really play it outside of like trying it and then having my own confirmation bias. Because my my own personal belief is that Arena, or I'll say this, Tarkov does not make a good esport game. Doesn't mean that it can't be an esport game, but that's just my opinion, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like also just kind of interesting how people, there's like this issue with BSG, and this is like with the main game, of course, that's been going on, is like there's just like a breakdown of communication in some ways, and and it's really not. I don't like putting the blame on the feedbackers, because I don't feel like it's their responsibility to provide 100% the solution of the issue. You know what I mean? It's like there's like this sentiment where it's like you can't criticize something unless you have the solution, which I think that's bullshit. I think you absolutely can criticize something and not have the solution, because it's like if I was to do that, it's like I'm doing the work for them and then yet not getting compensated. It's like what's the word? Not extortion. Anyways, point being, it's like people wanted. It's like there were suggestions like, hey, everyone's just running out of the same kits. We should force. We would like to see diversity. We could have like roles. Some people would be sniping. We want to like strategize more like BSGs. Okay, we're gonna limit it to 5. Great. But now as you just pointed out, there's like these different issues where I can't fully strategize because I don't know what kit they picked and I don't know the exact specific details of the kit that they could have picked. So I just know that I can't pick the same one. Like, it's just like, it's like, this is like how recoil was in the past. People used to always like, there's if you go search on Reddit, there's got to be posts from like 7 years ago where people were complaining about recoil, and then eventually BSG did something, but they did it in the opposite way. They made it worse, and they dialed it back by like making it more, vertical. But they add that, what was it, 12-12? They added like that flat 20 or 30 to it, and they just like completely, it shook up the game, but for the worst, I felt like, anyways. And yeah, I don't know. It's just like I feel like they're trying, but it's like they don't know what they're doing. Like I don't know. I mean, they're trying, but it's like I could see why, because I was kind of surprised. There was a lot of, as you said, there was a lot of like negative credit or like feedback and just straight up like negativity around Arena on Twitter. And I was like really surprised because it's a lot of it was coming. Well, some of the stuff I was seeing was coming from the people who were like touting Arena Tarkov is going to save Tarkov. I don't know, man. That's just my opinion, though. I think they should just make the game enjoyable or incentivize people to play it. Like if I could play it and like gamble money for my main game or something, like ante up or something, like I don't know, or like something to get me to want to play it, because I just, that's my kind of presupposition, is that the great thing about Tarkov is you get the Daisy/Rust survival experience baked in like 45 minutes. It's like even on customs earlier, I was playing just kind of like meandering around finding people. I got like 6 kills and like I wanted to loot them, but at the same time, like I don't want, like, it's, they could have good stuff, they could have bad stuff, but like at the same time, I like to survive, like number go up is good. It's like you still got to play like strategic and loot and stuff like this. Like for me, the looting is a big part of the game. I love duffel bags. They're great. I can't pass up a duffel bag. It's like I'm already full, but this duffel bag could have a GPU in it.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they could do something like where, which I don't even know if this, because that's the other thing. It's like, that was kind of my point. It's like with the PvP in Tarkov, it's nice to be able to kill the guy and then loot them and like see what they had. Like, I don't know, there's something cathartic about seeing what they had and then like taking all their loot out, and like there's something about that I just love, that packaged experience, and you still got to survive, that's like, it doesn't matter if I wipe the lobby, I looted everything, but at the end, all goes to waste,
Armpit
scav, baby.
Yeah, it's really hard. Like, I do feel that, and this is the thing, like Arena is fine, but it's like, yeah, what's the impetus for people to like really want to play it over all the other things that they have to play? Like, it's not, I don't think it's enough for the game just to be like, to be okay and to be fine and to be playable and to be like, even decent. We were talking about it on stream, and I think it was Joe, one of my sort of like long timers, he was just like, I played it. He was like, yeah, it's good, but like, I'd rather just play Helldivers, honestly. And I was like, you're not wrong. Like, it's weird because like half of me is like, that's kind of unfair because you're comparing Arena to like, game of the year, like the most fun game people have played in ages.
But just co-op versus multiplayer.
Which is like, and it's a completely different game, but it's also like incredibly fun compared to like most other games in existence, like in the last year or whatever. So it's like, Arena isn't gonna, like, it's just not gonna be that. Like, there's just no way it can be that. There's just, So it's almost, in some ways, it's almost unfair to compare these two. But on the other hand, like, well, it is fair because like it's people's time. You have to choose which one to
Right,
play. You're going to
right.
play base CFT, you're going to play Arena, or you're going to play Helldivers. Like if you want to break from base CFT, you're probably going to go play something else. Like you're probably not going to play Arena. Like Arena's, and that's the thing. I think Arena's fun, but like I'm also enjoying Helldivers a lot. Like if I was
Mhm,
going to choose between the two, like what would I choose as well? Like it's all about opportunity cost. Like these games don't exist in a vacuum.
mhm.
So you're competing with all the other types of media and entertainment or whatever that people have. Um, so like it's a really tricky one because easier said than done. Being able to say something along the lines of like, oh, BSG just need to provide like a reason to play or like more incentive to play or whatever. Like there's a sort of like there's a non-quantifiable fun factor to these games that sort of either happens or doesn't,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
it's very random. And I've been thinking a lot recently about, especially almost about like partly extraction shooters as well. This is like a bit of a side tangent, but I think it's kind of relevant about how a lot of like the triple, and we talked about this on stream a bit, about how the sort of triple A devs have just been like failing, not innovating, and just producing like
Yeah,
garbage
yeah.
products. And the tiny little like individual indie dev studios, like really small groups, produce these like one hit wonder type
Mhm.
games. When we're talking about Palworld, like I actually don't know much about Palworld because I haven't played it, but it's still got like decent player base relatively, but like it was 2 million or something at launch, and it's like 200K now, which is like a very quick steep drop off. And like will it continue to decline? I don't know. And as what people were telling me in chat, that it's like 5 people or whatever, and they said, well, we don't have enough, like we don't have any content coming out like straight away. Like you can go and play other games, but like by that point, it's like, well, if you already kind of lost the momentum, then are people going to come back? Like now that people are, you say, oh, you play Power World and then you play a bunch of it, and then Helldivers comes out and you play a bunch of that. Like when the content comes back to Power World, will you go back or will it be something new? And it almost seems to be this like middle selection of indie devs that can kind of pick up these sort of big viral opportunities and actually capitalize on them.
Yeah.
Um, a bit, and the Helldivers are a bit like that. I didn't realize that it was Arrowhead Games who make Magicka. That was like, I didn't realize that because I love I've probably talked about Magicka before on this
Is
show
that the one where you're
because
like basically Invoker?
yeah, it's the
Okay,
Invoker Wizards
yeah,
game.
yeah.
They also make that game, which is like one of my
Oh,
all-time
that's
favorite games.
okay.
I literally haven't played it for like 10 years, and I brought it up on this podcast randomly because of how
Mhm.
much impact it had on me at the time. And it's the same
Yeah, that
dude.
says
So
a
I was just
lot.
like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like that does say a lot. It's super, super cool. But it also has implications for games like GrayZone Warfare,
Yeah.
because they're also kind of the same, right? Successful studio, they're like medium sized because they've shipped a bunch of successful products before. Like they know what it takes to make the game. Then they know how to support something as it's live. Then they've got like longer term plans to do this kind of stuff. Like I think it's just different. Like you kind of got that. It's sort of that like middle ground sweet spot of small enough to be flexible enough to make something awesome, and then big enough to actually support it if they do well.
Mhm.
But like I wouldn't want to be a game or like running a game dev studio
Yeah.
or anything like this because there are tons of them that make games that aren't successful, right? There's
Yeah.
loads of tiny little indie like extraction shooters and mill sims and all kinds of things that have got like, less than 1,000 concurrent players. Like we've talked about Marauders before and like games like this. And it's crazy, right? And you basically just have to roll each dev studio just rolls the dice, and occasionally someone produces a masterpiece. And so, bringing the conversation back full circle, and I've talked about this to other people millions of times about RTSs and about like Blizzard trying to recreate the StarCraft One feel in StarCraft Two. It's very hard to like mechanically and artificially produce an organically amazing game. We've talked before as well about how so many of the top games, maybe a little bit less so now, but like especially when we were growing up, were all mods. Because again, you roll the dice 1,000 times, people make 1,000 mods. One of them is brilliant, and it ends up becoming Dota 2. Like, how do you like? You can't really compete with that level of like organic,
Mhm.
Darwinianism.
Yeah. And the
It's
way
survival of the fittest, right? Like you try 1,000 games and
right.
999 of them suck ass, and one of them's brilliant, and then it goes on to become amazing. It's like it's very hard to artificially create the joy and the sort of simplicity or the feel of these games. And so to expect that to just appear into Arena, I think is like I just don't know if it's even like doable. I don't think anybody really knows what it takes you know to do that because it's sort of a unquantifiable thing. It just sort of and they did that. They did that with Escape from Tarkov. probably without knowing. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? It's like
yeah.
it's
But
this very difficult thing.
but see, and this is very cliche, but I think the difference between the modders of the 2000s, that sort of era, and modern AAA studios is the corporations that are trying to replicate that by manufacturing it, by saying, okay, you'll make this game great. How much is it going to cost? How much time is it going to take? What's
Mm.
the lowest amount of resources we can give you, and how much can we overwork our workers to get this product out the door? And is it live service because we need money long term? So they're trying to like artificially manufacture this,
Hmm.
and there's soul crushing, no passion. I mean, I don't want to say as the entire people making the games. There's tons of passion, but it's coming from the top down. And whereas something like Tarkov or gosh, I don't even know what's Helldivers. Some of these other games, I believe there's more passion involved, and the upside is, oh my god, this game is doing really well. This is great. We're having this much success. Like this is, I think most every dev's dream is to make a hit game. Who doesn't want to make a piece of work and have a bunch of people share it and enjoy it?
Of course.
So I
Yeah.
do think
And this
that
is the
Magic
thing.
Spot is that double A size studio, and I got a little bit of resources, not quite indie, still, but still in that sort of indie-ish territory. Because the big giants EA just dwarf in comparison.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just hard, right? It's hard to like just create that magic within a new
Yeah.
title. You just say, okay, we're going to do something different, but it's like similar to what we've done before. But like with Arena, it's like I don't, and that's the thing. I don't know what BSG could do to Arena to make it like more appealing.
Mhm.
I just don't. I don't really know what they would do. I
Yeah.
really don't.
I mean,
I don't know.
I think I think it was planned to be sort of a spin-off, which I think it still is. So it's innovations maybe a bit on the lower side, but it just the way BSG talked about their expansions and things like this, it's kind of like it's very is that it's expanding upon an existing IP. So but I think BSG has sort of switched to more, how can we sustain Tarkov long term, and they see the value in the esports scene. I mean, people like Sigma, and a bunch of these other tournament organizers that have cropped up. Like I think there's
Yeah.
clearly a market, because I do think Tarkov FPS mechanics are very, there's a lot of depth in Tarkov, things like that, and I think with depth comes interest in mastering that depth, right? So
Mm.
I think there is something there. I don't know, but I have my opinions on it. But that aside, point is like you're right. There's like, what could they do? I don't know. That's why I say, just you know, that's maybe this is a really big ask based off this conversation, but just make the game fun. Like, just make like for me, all they need is I press a button, I'm in a game. Within a minute, I'm shooting a gun at someone. That would just be my dream thing. I
Yeah.
just want to shoot stuff. Sometimes I want to like not stress out about Tarkov and just shoot guns. Get
Yeah.
Kona
Yeah.
clap.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's an interesting one. We'll see. I just think, yeah, I personally think that the tournament scene needs to be worked on a lot. I think there just needs to be more of that. I think BSG needs to be supporting that kind of
Oh, for sure.
community tournaments more for the type of game that it is. Because then it's sort of like, you see people do well and progress, whatever, and you think like, oh, maybe I could do that as well.
Right,
So
right.
people
You get
aspire to
people.
be, yeah, you draw people in like that.
Yeah,
And I think that's a big part of it, other than like just the basic game itself.
because it's like
So
they're trying to do that with the elo grind. Like a Counter Strike thing
mm,
where you want to like put your skills on the line. But then they also got this weird. I mean, it's not really weird, and I can see why they do it. But this also like typical linear game progression that's like sort of mixed in the two, and I think maybe there's some conflict there. I'm not sure, but I could see it where it's like some people just want to play it grind to like prove they're the best, and then other people just want to play it and unlock the next new toy. I can kind of
Yeah.
see two different sides of the coin there that maybe are at odds,
Mm.
maybe complement them. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
I do think the one thing about it is that would interest like every actual Tarkov player. So at least it's it's
Hmm.
not on its own merits, but at least the thing that's good and is the same is all of the mechanics and like movement and whatever. Like you can get better at movement and gunfights and whatever in arena. I've been thinking pretty much that I want to use it for that primarily more than anything else, which is to improve just my shooting, improve my positioning, my movement, and how to just do various things, just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
targeting headshots, using like leaning, not going out too far, all that kind of stuff. Because it's all relevant. Like those are the things that are most relevant. Like target acquisition and like not knowing where people are and all that stuff. That's specific to Tarkov and not to Arena. But the actual like gunfights, like hearing the audio and um, using the leans properly and
yeah.
ADSing and trying point fire and all of that kind of stuff. That's I think that's the most valuable thing for the most average Tarkov player, at least, because you just get into so many more fights. You're just like so much more comfortable with shooting. And I can feel myself getting like even after 2 sort of 3 hour sessions, I can already feel myself improving way quicker than I would in the base game
For
at
sure.
just PvP. And yeah, just like you just get into so many situations where it's like, oh, I shouldn't have used point fire there. Okay, I should have used point fire there.
Yeah,
I should have
yeah,
ADS'd here. I leant too far. And then you also get the instant feedback. Like I had quite a few moments where it was like I lean peeked round and the guy instantly shot me in the head. And I was just like, dude, like, come on. And then you look at it from his perspective, and I crouch down and I lean, but I'm just short of the corner. But he can see the top of like my helmet or something.
right.
And then I lean again, and then he instantly kills me because he already saw me first. And I
Yeah,
was like, oh, I gave away my position. And like those little things you just don't get in base game, right? Whereas in arena, you can see all that stuff in real time. You get that
yeah.
real time feedback, and it's like one of those things that I've always like. It's kind of why I've made comparisons in the past between like Tarkov and poker,
Hmm.
because poker's another game that's really hard to get good at, because the way that the human brain tends to function with really anything is you do thing, you fail at thing, you see why you failed at thing, and you do it again.
Yep.
Whereas like poker is often not like that. Like it is sometimes, but it's like a game of statistics and over the long, and you have to think about it in the right way,
Hmm.
because at the face value, you can make the right decision and then lose. And it can like you can accidentally instill like bad habits by accident. And also it's very
Interesting.
difficult to know like whether you should have done the thing or not. Like even
Yeah,
afterwards. And there's
yeah.
like whole forums dedicated. Like back when I was playing poker seriously, there was like whole forums dedicated to people like showing hands of being like, should I have done this? Like,
Right.
and it all depends on your opponents and stuff. So it's like it's really hard to tell. It's not necessarily cut and dried either way anyway. You can be punished for doing the right thing and be rewarded for doing the wrong thing in poker. And in Tarkov, it's sort of similar, right? You can do the right thing and just get like, no, you just get cucked randomly by something. And so it's like those feedback loops are also kind of hard in some ways, or the fact that in Tarkov you just get no feedback. So it's like you do the thing, you're
Yeah.
just like,
The
I just
worst
don't know whether I did the
scenario.
right thing. I've just no idea.
Yeah.
Well, because you don't see the kill cam, you didn't see the guy, you don't know where he was. And like in arena, I got surprised a few times. Like the one time I ran through the plane, shot at somebody, then carried on running, ran up the stairs, and just got insta doinked. And I was like, I literally didn't see anyone. And the guy was in like the cheekiest spot ever, stood on the railing over the stairwell, so that when I ran up my vertical field of view, I didn't see him. But he was like literally on my head. He was on top of my head. And I had no idea until the kill count came through. And I was like, oh, there he is. Okay, I understand that. And another couple of times where like they could see me through a little spot and then shot me through the wall banked me, but they could see me.
Mm.
And I just couldn't see them because they were like a tiny little like
Pixel
sliver
peak.
through a piece of terrain.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, I understand that spot now. And so like the fact that you get instant feedback makes the the path to getting better like tremendously quicker,
Hmm.
because you start adapting almost immediately and making changes to your gameplay straight away. Like when you wander through, like you start to learn a heat map of like here be death on most Tarkov maps, and it's just wandering through after 20 minutes and getting shot in the head and then having to re-kit up, right? And it's like that's a very slow way to learn. And after
Yeah.
hundreds to thousands, this is why people say you have to get 200 hours in Tarkov before you even
Yeah.
feel semi-competent, because there's how many maps are there now? 8, 9 maps,
Something
and
like
it's like
that.
and you have to like wander through each of them 50 hours of getting shot in the head before you understand where not to go.
Yeah.
And it's like it takes forever. Whereas like, as I said, like 9 hours in arena, and I can already feel myself getting better. Like I had a few clutch plays in the second session where I was like, okay, I feel like we're actually, strategizing here, like doing the right thing, like actually hitting shots as well. Because like sometimes I was like doing the right thing, but then not hitting and all this kind of stuff. And so yeah, so it was good to feel that progress, right? Like I feel very static in my main Tarkov
Hmm.
right now. I'm not really getting any better at actual Tarkov other than like map knowledge. Like my knowledge improves, but like I'm not particularly getting better at fights. I'm not particularly getting better at like aim. I'm just like the same as I have been. Like
Right.
I got I ranked up a notch going full time and streaming 3 sessions weekly from like basically barely playing. Um, so that was like one notch that I went up, and then kind of progressed a bit for maybe like 6 months to a year, and now I've kind of plateaued again with the amount of hours that I put in. So yeah, arenas may be a shortcut to that, but anyway, very very long tangent, but like it's I don't know, I've enjoyed arena, so I did want to talk about it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely relevant because I think that's probably why I was just thinking. That's probably why Interchange is one of my comfort maps, is because when I first played, that was the map that my friend group was like, "Yeah, we're playing this map, and you're learning it." Because I absolutely hate it when I first I was like
Hmm.
petrified of getting shot at from every little store. But nowadays, it's like I got so much. Like I probably have. Man, I would love to like figure out how I could calculate that. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. BFG had any statistics on my account? That'd be super interesting to know. But I wonder how many hours I have on Interchange, because it's got to be a lot, man. Like definitely double digits, maybe close to 1,000. But that's hard to say because 1,000, that's a lot. Like that's a lot. Like purely playing on the map. Let's say you do 15 minutes on average. Like, dude, that is a lot of raids on Interchange. Like a lot.
Yeah,
But
you have a lot more than me on that map. I'll tell
yeah,
you that.
yeah, for sure.
I actually would love to know what my most played map is. Because nowadays, I actually just don't know anymore. I don't really have a main map. I kind of lost that
Hmm.
somehow. And I'm not really sure why. But like, I don't really have like I'm kind of like whatever about where to go. Like, it's weird. I've ended up. I think I jumped around a load. There was a session where I was just like trying something new each time the wipe finished, and then I was like jumping. I think it was when I played labs for a month. I
Mm.
think that's what broke me. I played labs for a
Sounds right.
month, and I came out of it being like, I actually feel fairly confident on labs now. And then I was like, where am I going to play now?
Hmm.
And it just felt like I just felt lost. I'm just like everywhere just feels equally as like, and nothing felt bad. Like no maps feel
Sure.
bad, but just everywhere just feels like kind of equally as like the same. And I don't feel like mega confident like anywhere like
Hmm.
ever since then, which is really weird. Like super weird. Like nowhere feels like my home map anymore.
But labs, though.
Very very
You're a
odd.
labs main now.
No. Oh god, the labs are so bad, man. Honestly, labs are just so bad. I actually just don't think I can endure another one of those streams playing labs for 3 hours and just getting like crucified.
Dang.
It was just so obnoxious. It felt so different to when I played labs for a month. Like when I played labs for 4 weeks to get the original sets of items,
Hmm.
by by the end of the first week, I was like, okay, this is like I'm getting it now. Like I knew the map anyway before that, like broadly, but just not really the PvP. But then I like really started to enjoy it from sort of like week 2 onwards. And like, yeah, it was annoying not finding the items, but it was like stressful and like I died a bunch, but I was having some good fights, whatever. But man, going back to labs this wipe has been like it's just been so atrocious.
Mm.
I've just killed continuously. Just continuously. I just can't kill anybody. I'm just unable to kill people on that map. Like I played for I can't like I haven't actually it was that depressing that I haven't even gone and analyzed like the second session.
Oh
It's
no.
literally it's a 3.5 hour video that I've just got saved as an archive that I didn't even split the raids up. I haven't even like I always split all the raids up in all of my things so I can
Is
archive. But
that
I'm like
bad?
I was just like I'm never going to use any of this footage.
Oh
I'll
no.
keep it, I guess. I'll keep it there. But yeah, the first session, like the second session felt was it worse than the first session? I think it was probably slightly better. Oh yeah, I think I got 6 kills in 3.5 hours on the second session, which was better than the 3 kills I got in the first session. But the second session felt worse, and I'm not sure why. It felt like no matter what I did, I was just losing. If I like ratted, then like I was in the wrong place.
Hmm.
And then when I did finally get to the guy, then like I like scuffed the fight and then died. And
Yeah.
then when I was trying to like chat it around, I just get hurt and instantly shot in the head. And it was just like I just felt I got into this like weird state near the end where I was just like, I just don't even know like I don't even know how to play the map anymore. Like no matter what I do, I just get killed.
Yeah. You know,
Like the only way that I can not get killed by like ratting about, but I
hmm,
can't get
you
any
can't do
kills. Like as
anything,
soon as
right?
yeah, like I can avoid everybody for 20 minutes and then extract the map. but like I can't even wrap my way into some kills here. This is just crazy.
Yeah, no, I've had very similar experiences like very recently, and it's not a good feeling because then you like start losing confidence in yourself, and then especially like because Tarkov's kind of I mean, it is in my opinion an anxiety inducing game when
Mm.
stuff's on the line, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you're just like frustrated and like anxious, and then like you're losing a lot, like it's like I had to stop playing that one day. I was just like, it was just I was like felt off, and like for whatever reason, I just had like more anxiety than like typical, and I just did not feel good and wasn't like dying. Like really unfortunate stuff too. Like I was pathing and like was watching my back, and I turned around, and as soon as I turned around, the guy comes like he shoots me in the back, and I turn back around trying to shoot back, and I'm already dead. I'm just like, dang, that's just like super unlucky, and I'm just like super tilted. How much worse can this get? Let me just stop playing. So sometimes it'd be
Yeah.
like that. I mean, it you just you sometimes you need that like just that reset for me at least. I just got to reset.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's kind of why I was like kind of happy to go and play Arena for like 2 days,
Mhm.
basically. I did like an extra stream on the Wednesday for the wipe of it, and then I played Thursday as well. Because I was like, this is just so much more enjoyable than playing labs to me.
Mm.
Like it's like I'm improving at PvP, but I'm taking away the anxiety and the stress of like I'm dying every time. I'm not even learning anything. I think that's the worst part for me. I was like, I don't feel like I'm learning either.
Yeah,
I'm either just
yeah,
like wasting my time crabbing around the map, or I'm just like I'm dying in ways that I just don't even understand. And then because I'm given no information, it's just like
right.
impossible to know like
How
how
can
to
you learn from
improve.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, there's no feedback loop, so I just can't do anything here. Um, but like it's it's a and then like obviously suspicious people as well, which it's like I kind of have decided at this point I don't think I'm going to look at stats of anyone anymore
Mhm.
that I like think like weird death or whatever. Like I don't think it's good for the mental, and you can almost always pick out some. To be fair, like it was quite funny. I said, I'm not going to do it. Then I was like, oh, we'll do this last one. And then I clicked on the guy and I was like, oh, he actually looks completely normal. Like this is good. Thank God. Because I like all the others was like, they've got Kappa and they're like level, whatever. And they've got like 250 hours on their account. And it's like, you can always make up like the thing is, even seeing that, you're just like, well, it could be a second account. Like you've no idea, right? Um,
Yeah.
Even though it's most likely something suspicious happening. But it's like, does it matter? Does it help? Like, does it even make any difference? Like, I don't think so. But yeah, it's just like the combination of that, and then like also just feeling like a skill. It's a skill issue half the time, and then it's yeah, skill issue half the time, like sus gameplay the other half the time, of which half of that's probably just like some unfortunate situation that you don't understand because of the kill cam. Like you got shot by somebody else who was like, because that also happened on Arena a few times where like I was in like a head up fight with this guy, and I'm just like, man, he literally just came around the corner. Like, how did he kill me? And then it's like it's his teammate through the window of the aircraft,
Mm. So
and
you're
it's
taking two
like stuff like
shots
that.
instead of one.
So yeah, either taking two shots or the guy just had like a clear line of sight on me. Like it
Mm.
just was not the guy I thought I was fighting.
Oh, I
This was
see.
somebody else
Yeah.
who had an angle who I just didn't hear. Like I'm sure there's loads of those situations on labs too, right? Because people play in pairs and they split up and
Yeah.
then they flank and the guy comes down from the one angle. So I don't know. Yeah, it's been a rough time, but yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, Axel in chat was just saying like that guy No Generals does coaching. What if something like that would give you improvements? Like I would genuinely consider it. Like that almost could be that could be like some good content too,
I was gonna say, yeah.
Because I'm always like thinking about that as well. Like it's the one biggest problem that I have with Arena is just like I literally can't do anything with it, like YouTube wise, really. Like
Really,
there's
you
nothing I
feel
can
that
do with
way?
Arena footage. Yeah, what can I do with Arena footage? Like
I guess B
I
roll.
can maybe yeah, it's like and I could do like the best kits or whatever, but there's such limited like video potential within Arena.
Yeah,
I
because
just
the kits. Well, I mean, there's might be something because the kits are tiered. Some people may want to know the best tier one kits, best tier two
like
kits.
maybe, but it's like one or two videos. It's like
Yeah, I
I
see
just
what you're
don't think there's
saying.
really much there. It's
Yeah,
hard, or maybe some map guides or whatever. But again, it's yeah, I don't know.
I
It's
get
just
you. I
tough.
get what
It's
you're
tough.
saying. Yeah,
Yeah, and each one of those kind of requires like a lot of gameplay on those
right,
maps too. But
right.
yeah, I feel like a coaching video would actually not be too bad. Be like, I got coached by XYZ Giga Chad, and like here's what I learned. Like
Yeah.
that's actually a genuinely cool video
For Tarkov or for Arena or for both?
for main Tarkov.
Huh, yeah.
Main
Yeah,
Tarkov.
there was some
Arena,
content.
maybe for Arena too, actually, but like especially labs. Like,
Oh
because
yeah,
people want
labs
to
would be
play labs.
huge. Yeah.
People want to play labs. They want to know how to. They want to know how to play labs, and like me being kind of like the relatable guy, like and learning how to do the Giga chat thing. Coach wouldn't want it streamed or live recorded though. Well, I mean, it depends. It depends. Like, it depends if it's like a content creator thing, right? Because like, No Generals is a creator. Like, if he does, I don't know. It depends whether he does coaching as, I was like, somebody would do it like not as a thing, right? And even if it is a thing, and another creator wants to make a YouTube video about it, like it's kind of like free marketing. So it depends on like, they give one free session. Like everybody wants to get like tailored advice, right? Like putting out a free session, basically like here's how I got coached. Like it's like free marketing for that service if they're paying for it, if it's paid. I have no idea. I've no idea whether No General's like charges for coaching or just does it with community or whatever. I've no idea, but it's literally just I'm just brainstorming based on what Axel said in chat. So anyway, oh man, Arena.
Well, nonetheless, yeah. I mean, I hope you. It sounds like you're enjoying it. I hope you get that satisfaction and can benefit from it in some form or fashion for your own self enjoyment / improvement. Because yeah, I think for me, that's if they could get, which I think they said that's the next in line, some type of, I forget what they call it, last man standing or something, but something that's like just super quick and easy. I'd be inclined to try because I've also been pondering changing my keybinds, doing some insane, weird, janky stuff, and doing it in Tarkov is just it's too much, But it's in a setting like Arena, it's like the perfect setting to just grind it
that's
out
a good point.
and relearn old habits into new habits. So that's been on my mind for a while. Yeah, I got a layout in mind. I don't know if it's good, but I have some theories. Well, yeah, we'll see. Might be video worthy. We'll see.
I like the idea. I like the idea of that. That's a very good idea because and also again, you're not getting into a fight situation every 20 minutes and then suddenly having to like learn how to do it. Like you could build your muscle memory up in Arena and then align it in base game.
Exactly. Should we move on to another topic?
Yes.
Okay.
I talked for way too long.
It's all good. I mean, it's a big topic, I think that it's definitely relevant. I'm gonna skip crouch walking just because it's kind of we've talked about it before, and I mean, I have had some news thoughts, but maybe we'll talk about it another week. Instead, I want to jump to Gac Plates in Class 6, which I think we've touched on a bit, especially when I unlocked Ragman 6 a few episodes back. But since then, I've completed a long line. It's not required for Kappa, but I just did it because I like interchange, and I had the stuff for Booze Quest, which is level 50, and you get some armor unlocks, whatever. But for complete long line, you get the Tasmanian Tiger, the TTK SK rig, armored rig, and it comes with
my old favorite.
Yeah, the classic. It comes with Class 6 ceramic plates that weighs 3.25, which I think is one of the lightest.
Pretty hefty.
It's still hefty, yeah. I mean, it's light for its class. I think the other ones range. I probably got a couple here. Let me open this. Yeah, let's see. Can't sort in here. So that's Granite 5. So this one is Class 6 ceramic, 3.3. So what do we say? About the same. It's a little bit heavier penalty wise, 2% versus 1.5. So it's got a little bit less penalties. I think the one of the Class 6 that's really good is the Kiva arms because it's armored steel. Because all the other ones are ceramic. I don't know how many Class 6s there are. There might only be 3 different ones. But I think
I will be able to tell you.
Great.
But of the proper style. Like the sappy style.
Yeah, we'll go with that sappy style.
Actually, yeah, I guess. Well, you'd be surprised actually. So like full sappy type, there is 4.
Okay. So there's one more.
Which is
what is the other
one? Yeah,
the
East, and they're also the mostly there's East Sappy, which is the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
There's Cult Termite, which is titanium.
Oh, is that Tagilla's?
That's the Tagilla one, yeah.
Okay, that's the one.
Tagilla has only got that one in the front, by the way. He's got a class 4 at the back, which is quite
Interesting.
cheeky. The Nesco 4400, which is combined materials. And then the best one, which is the GAC 4 Triple S2.
Now, what's
There's a class 6 GAC plate, but you can't get it like anywhere.
this come up here? No. What's Tagilla's called again?
Tagilla's is called the Cult Termite.
Oh, Cult Termites. I just want to have a look at it because actually, 65 titanium. So is titanium better than armor steel? I forget.
Like, honestly, at this point, I don't think it matters anymore for plates. But I mean, destructibility, titanium is slightly better than armored steel, but steel repairs better.
Yes. Because that's what I've figured for the class 6. I think the Kiba Arms one. I think it comes in the slick. But
yeah, the highest durability is technically the Nesco and the Cult Termite. That's like 160 and 158 for effective durability. But like, I don't know how much it matters.
Yeah, because I figured like, since the armor steel repairs well, this would be a pretty good option. I mean, it's 55 versus the ESAP, because I'm looking at the ones I can get reliably, which is through the barters, either the slick or the
or the Tasmanian one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically
the slick's expensive. The Kibber Arms steel plates, I guess, are expensive on that basis.
Yes, but
because the slick boss is quite expensive.
You do get a bit of a refund, which is kind of what I mainly want to talk about. It's just it's I don't know, it's kind of odd. Like, I feel like there needs to be a balance patch done specifically to armors and their sell prices and maybe how you purchase them. Because like when we first heard about the system, I was kind of envisioning we go to a trader like Ragman and he sells plates and he sells armors, and you pick a plate, you pick an armor, boom, you're good to go. But instead you get what comes in it by default, which is like how it spawns in the world as well. So if you found one in the crate, it would be like that as if it was on the trader.
Yeah.
Which, maybe is like a limitation or something they had to do or didn't want to work around. I'm not sure. And I'm not even sure if my suggestion is any better. I mean, I would think it's more ideal for like players to have more choice, but maybe that extra choice is just Tarkov has already got enough dev. Maybe it's too much. I don't know. But my main point is like there just feels like there's some weird balancing. Like, I haven't looked too much at like the lower armors. Like, one thing I've noticed specifically too is I've been doing I got a whole items case full of Gacs. It's just my Gac box, and I've been doing the crafts for it because I think you get. Oh, you may have to inform me because I got a feeling you probably know based off your videos. You get 2 for Ragman quests to craft, which is one is for Sew It Good 4. You can craft the tack plate.
Is that the tactic one?
Yes, that will give you. Yeah. You need 1 GAC and some other items. I might have it available to showcase, but you put in a GAC, you get out a tactic that comes with 2 GATs. You take the tactic out. You basically did an alchemy and made 2. You took 1 and made 2, and you sell the tactic, and it's even after this update, I could be wrong, but we'll take a quick look here. What they're going for in the flea market, the actual rig, is not that much because I guess people don't see that much value in them, or I guess there's so much of a supply coming out from the crafts as well.
Yeah, and it's because it's another one of these like plate only soft armors.
Yes,
is the main issue. But they only sell to Ragman for what, like 45k or something?
Yeah, something around there. Like, I'll just buy one. So this one's for 47. Again, it's empty. You can't sell the plates in them. It can only be class 4 plates. We got a Ragman. Yeah, I mean, this is selling for, it's a 44, about the same. I mean, there's a little bit more on the market versus 47. But like I got a CCP that just crafted. And the CCP, you get that from a quest as well. Is that the one where you gotta survive a bunch of times on?
I think it was Living High. I think it's Living High 2. I think.
See, Living High 1. Nope. Living High 2.
I think.
Yep, you're right.
Sounds even better. It's
Even
shorter than the
better.
tactic one.
It's shorter.
And it comes with 2 side plates as well.
Which you can list on the flea, which, I mean,
Yes.
make money. Like, I don't know why people buy them. Like, there's two for 20K. Usually you can sell them for 30K, and some of these are pushing to 40K, which is kind of insane. But people buy them, they sell. And so if you strip out everything from it, you go list on the flea. Okay, they're a little bit higher now. They're 61. Because I think this one goes for like 48. Yeah, which sometimes it fluctuates. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe people are looking at them more now that they have Class 3 Aramid protection compared to Class 2. I'm not sure. I mean, there's maybe an argument because some maps you want to take Red Rebels, so you want to just not deal with dropping armor, so you buy the rig. But anywho, jumping to my main point, it's just there's something really weird that some of these armors are valued the way they are. Like the one I was telling Giga about just before we got on was getting this Tasmanian Tiger rig. It's like you spend, let's see, a Bear Buddy that's like 55K, we'll say. Then we got a Loot Lord plushie. It's another 50K, so we're at 100K. And then we got the Plague Mass. It's like 58, so like 158, right? And then make sure it takes the non-founded raid ones and not my Kappa items. Okay. And boom, I got my plates, right? And the rig is like completely useless. Like it's it's basically an idea rig. Like it has 4 2x1s. Sure, it's got one, minus 1% movement speed modifier. It's light, but it's got no aramid, nothing soft. So it's literally just plates. Like it's literally a plate carrier, and it's valued at Ragman for 78,000 rubles when you sell it back to him. So I've effectively got, and the plates are going for 45K each. So that's basically what I paid for the barter. No, like a little bit more.
Yep. Basically, it's like 20K. It's fair value of the traders, basically. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It feels like these plates should be worth more, and this rig should be worth way less. Because if I go on the market, no one's gonna sell this. Like, damn, some people are even selling it for 70K. Like, I could buy this right now and sell it to Ragman and make 8,000 rubles.
Yeah, it's too high, right?
Yeah, it's weird, and there's a lot of these like traditionally high tier armors, whereas now they're only high tier by proxy because that's the default plate they come in. Yet the actual mechanism that's holding the plates has a lot of value associated into it via the traders, what they'll pay for it.
Yeah,
it just feels a little.
Like we were
lopsided.
talking about the slicks, right? Like you can sell a slick carrier with no plates in it to Ragman for 157,000 rubles.
Yeah, which that's like the cost of 2 troopers right there, basically.
It's mad.
Like the slick bar is actually even better than it was previous wipes because how little you're paying to get the thing you desire to Class 6. And now you can further that by taking the Class 6 plates and putting in something that you want to build around or complement your loadout.
You can also barter for troopers now, I think.
Oh yeah, you're right. 3 axles. I don't think it's that much cheaper.
Yeah, it's probably not that much cheaper. I mean, you can sell the plates back, but bizarrely,
that's true.
That barter isn't on the wiki. I don't know why, but it's doable. There's a trooper barter. It's just like not on the wiki.
Yeah, that's another great point.
A lot of people are probably not aware of it. What does it come with? Monocleats?
Yeah, which you could use if you want. I mean, I like
you could use those. I mean, I use them. If you just sold them to the trader, it's like 11K.
Yeah,
or something. So it'd be like 23. So
yeah, it's actually cheaper to do the barter than
buy them off the fleet. Might well be.
Yeah, because that's 22K back, and these axles run for like 32K.
Yeah.
So as long as
what is it, 96? If you use the monocleats like I do, I buy them from the fleet for 20,000 rubles to save space. But
yeah,
if the implied value is 20, then that you're only getting the trooper there for 56. Then implied, if you buy monocleats like I do. So that's pretty good.
And then you could use the troopers and the slick barter. Like it's that weird video that you have where it's like you take the cricket, you get the can, you trade it for the chainlet to get the whatever. I don't even remember
that's one of my favorite
the
things.
toothpaste. That's what it was. It was something ridiculous.
Yeah, was it like the two of the funny toothpaste to get the other toothpaste? That toothpaste you can get a salmon, then the salmon you can barter for the car kit. Then you put the car kit inside the med station and craft yourself a Salewa using fuel, and then you hand the Salewa into the therapist. I was like, if you have any of these items, you can make a Salewa. That was good. That was a good wipe. I enjoyed that one. I enjoyed that one. Or the the Vita Juice goes into a Slickers. The Slickers goes into the Scav Vest. The Scav Vest goes into the lavatory. That makes 2 ripstops. You then sell the ripstop. Like you get 3 of those. You sell 2 ripstops on the flea. Just like the scaling of just like chaining of various things. Yeah, the chainlet one was the chain. That's the chainlet for the face visor. Alongside that was an old barter. That was one of the Anna vests. I can't remember which one it was. ANAM2.
Yeah.
It was like the face visors were like 10k, but the chainlets were like 5. So you could get like 3 face visors for 15k, and then you had to buy something else. Was it water or something? I can't remember. There was something else you had to buy. Good times.
Speaking of water,
all of those are gone though. Like there was loads of people who saving up Aquamaris, but you just can't get the ANA M1
That's what I was getting ready to say. I have so many Aquamaris that are 1 out of 50, and I'm like just dying to use them for something. Like I'm gonna have to start doing camping the Jaeger barter for the Sega shotgun and just sell it back to I don't even know if that's worth doing. I gotta do the math.
Like if you look it up on the flea, ANA M1, there's a barter there.
Yeah.
But it's just like no one has it unlocked. No one knows what it is.
I think they messed up. They forgot it. Is my guess.
I think it's bugged. I don't think you can unlock it.
Yeah.
At this point.
Because I
really don't.
Pretty
sure
all
the others, we pretty much know what they are.
I'm pretty sure it was it might have been open by default, but maybe it was a very early Ragman Quest unlock. I can't say for certain.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's weird. Like the only thing that I find a bit strange about all of this stuff is that I'm just not sure about the balancing of the plates. I don't really know, and I'm not sure whether it's a good or a bad thing because basically, like the Gac plates are like the predominant class 5 plate now because of plate alchemy. As soon as you start as soon as you have one and you get the quest unlocked, and you just get another plate every 6 hours, and it's just bam, bam, bam. You just have it running all day in the lavatory. Once you don't need money from running textile crafts or whatever, you just start running it constantly. And you put one of those in the front, and then you put monoclete in the back, and that's super sustainable. And you can then run any Western armor that you like. So that seems to be like the dominant one, but like all the others, they're just really heavy. Like the Gac plate is so light, and the others are just incredibly heavy. So it's like you can use decent armors with the GAC plate, and it's pretty good. Like the only other way that I've kind of mixed and matched it is that every time you buy an Osprey Protect, you get some like random heavy plate. Every time you buy like the Defender, you get some heavy plates with those. And so I've kind of been mixing and matching them around by putting like a heavy class 5 front plate in the Thor concealable because it's a really, really light carrier. And you don't necessarily care about the extra 2 kilos or whatever. Like at least I've got somewhere to put like the tall comms because I've got like a load of like tall com guardians and a bunch of cult locusts because I think cult locusts come in the I think they come in all of the Gen 4s. I think it's that one anyway. Yeah, it's that one. And then tall com guardian, I think that comes in the Osprey Protect. So you end up with like a bunch of those, but they're like, especially the Torcom Guardian, it's like 3.5 kilos. The Cult Luck's not too bad, 2.6, 2.5. But compared to the GAC 3S15M, which is like 0.97, it's like under a kilogram for a class 5 plate. And like, as far as I've tested so far, the performance on them is just like indiscernible. Like the durability doesn't matter on them. They just don't get shot enough because they're so small.
Yeah.
And they're separated from the back, right? Like previously, your thorax protection was all around you. Whereas like stomach and thorax. Like I know it's still sort of stomach and thorax technically, but like it's split into front, back, and 2 sides. These bits don't have any protection. These bits don't have any protection. It's like they're hard to get shot. So the durability is never an issue anymore. That said, right, the Gac plates are still 133 effective versus the Torcom's 147, and that's the highest in class 5. So it's like 3rd highest in class 5. There just seems to be no downside. Like I know people were talking about ricochet chance, but from what I've gathered so far, people were talking about ricochet chance of like steel armors maybe, but it's like the shallowest like 10% angle. It's like the most unlikely angle to be in, I think. And I haven't been able to replicate it in testing. So it's like not really like who cares? Like if I can't even replicate it, then like I'm not gonna worry about it, you know? So for all intents and purposes now, it seems to me like most of the plates, they're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
But the Gac plate has like no debuffs and is the lightest by a country mile
Yeah.
compared to all the others. And then you can craft it every 6 hours. So it makes like all the others just basically pointless. Now, you can get other class 5 plates, like it is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some ways to buy some of these things. Like you can buy the Granite BR4. You have to do sales night. And it's for like a wooden clock. So that's like 56k. That's not necessarily too bad. If you do Insomnia, you can buy Peacekeeper's Ceramic Sappy 3 plate, which is like 50k. I guess the ones that are quite good is like what's the Corund one, which is the golden egg. That's not terrible. It's like 44k, but I don't know. For the most part, I just feel like people just tend to just use the Gac plate over everything.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult thing though, because like, yeah, you have to invest 6 hours every time, and like, you know, there's some materials cost to it, blah blah blah. But like, I don't really know how it should be balanced. Like being able to like you can't buy anything, and then you suddenly do a quest, and now you have it unlocked every reset. Versus like, okay, well, I have to block up my lavatory and then craft it, but I'll just have it crafting constantly. I don't really
Yeah.
know what the best balance is for it.
I mean, the one extra bonus you can do, because you can take one Gac and turn it into 2 effectively. I've been taking the Gacs that are damaged. So like I'll get out of raid, take the Gac off that's damaged, or maybe I get one back in insurance, and you don't have to repair it. You just boom. It's like yeah, I don't know. Like I almost feel like you should like maybe you should just craft rigs and then lower the cost. Like you don't get the plates, like you just get the rig, and it's like a couple fabrics and some chemicals. I don't know. And
Yeah,
I don't know, something like this, and just give more rig options to craft. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely been one of those things where it's like anytime I kill someone, they're wearing some type of like Western style vest, and either they got random the default class 4 plates that come with it, or they have a GAC in it. I almost
yeah.
never see anything else, and or the Karund. I've seen plenty of Karuns, like, and that kind of makes sense because you buy it and it's good to
Buy it and
go.
go.
Yeah. I don't think it's particularly good personally, but it's simple, I guess, straightforward.
I think it's simple, and it's like okay at surface value. You're just like, it has neck, it has groin, it's got class 5. Like, okay, let's go for it.
Right.
But it's like, yeah, it's class 2 around the edge, and then it's like Eastern plate. It's like, I don't know. But then again, like I don't know how pedantic or like overly pedantic I'm being about these two
I
things.
agree.
Like, yeah, there's a small extra gap for the Eastern plate versus the Western plate at the top, but like, how often are they hitting there?
Mm-hmm.
Like realistically, like, and how often does that matter? Like, yeah, if you get shot there once, like the next shot's either going to be in the neck, in which case you're going to die anyway, or it's going to be on the plate, in which case it'll save you anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. After thinking about it a lot, I just don't know how many situations there are where like some of those decisions actually matter. Like as much as anybody love to, pedantify
Yeah.
around with these topics and like, look into the minutiae or whatever. It's like the elephant in the room being that like the entirety of the underneath of your arm is like completely exposed. Um,
Yeah.
from the side at least. Like as long as you don't get shot in the arm itself, like you can still just insta die to the neck, insta die under the arm for two bullets, like all this stuff. And I'm worrying about like 2.5 centimeters of extra like lack of protection from the Eastern carrier. It's like I don't know, man. I don't know. It's the only weird thing for me. Yeah, I do think that the GAC craft is probably OP. The reason why I think it's OP because I think you should basically be paying like 50k for a class 5 plate because that's sort of a decision that you have to make then, like at least 50k, like 50 60k. I think it's probably sensible for a plate. The thing about the Gac plate is you don't really have to make that choice, right? Because like the
Mm-hmm.
input, I'm not sure how much the inputs cost off the top of my head, but the fact that you can sell the carrier, sell the 2 side plates at the same time, and then you get 2 plates out, it's like, well, the implied cost of those plates is like a lot lower than everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
And I
it's
think
too
that's the
good.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like there is a real space where the players are valuing types of armors or rigs, carriers, differently than what the traders are valuing it. Like even um the Osprey is like, if you have one found in raid, I mean they sell for like 200, 300K sometimes. The one that's good, probably even the crappier one sells well.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know. It's just it just feels like there needs to be a balance passed on in that area. And also, in the end, does it really matter when Mr. Scav is gonna want to suka me in my armpit? And, you know, I don't know. It's tough
Yeah,
because I
exactly.
can see there's like a layer of depth there. I almost feel like they need class 4 aramid. Like I know it's probably definitely fictional. Maybe even class 3 is already fictional. But if there was like armors that could have class 4 that had like, you know, downsides to match that rating, I feel like now we might be talking something a bit more interesting. Because now I feel like we're in a part of wipe where most people on average are going to have something that can deal with class 3 aramid relatively easily.
Yeah.
Exceptions being if you go customs and um or factory, you might run into some buckshot stuff where like you definitely want class 3, you know, and maybe class 3 isn't enough. Some people spend the money on flechettes just to get it done, or they get, you know, got ACP 6.3 in their 9mm SMG. But yeah, it's
Yeah, because to deal with class 3 Aramid, you're literally talking like 28 pen.
basically,
Like not hard.
yeah,
And the problem is you end up with people running like weird stuff. Like people running this CQCM face mask, and it's like, oh, you got a face mask that's class 4, but like putting that around our torso is like verboten. You know, it's like
right,
why? Like surely that's not realistic. Like there's no face visor in real life that's gonna absorb
right.
an M856A1 bullet, right? You got to be kidding me. Like maybe there is. Maybe I'm just not right about that. But like, I find that hard to believe.
Uh, no,
You know, I was,
I think there ain't no way.
yeah,
Because
I
what
was
is
just
this
having a look
even
at this.
rated? Ultra high molecular weight polyethylene class 4? I don't buy it. There ain't no
You just
way.
I know that's what I think. I was just looking at this. So the AACPC, by the way, so it's like one aramid, two ripstops, and a sewing kit. Aramids are like 20K, ripstops are quite expensive, like 35K at the minute, and sewing kits are 26K. Obviously, you need a Gac plate as well, but I'm just ignoring that because I think you don't really
Sure.
need it. So that's 100. That's 115,000. You can sell back the ACPC for like 55K, probably at least. And then the two side plates you can definitely sell for 20 each. So that's like 20,000 for a GAC plate,
Insane, dude.
which is pretty cool. It's too low. It's the same price as a monoclete. Like, yeah, you have to wait 6 hours, but like, I guess there's an opportunity cost in not using your lavatory for that period of time that
Yeah.
that is
But I mean, if you
securing.
do one every night, like, I mean, I just feel like it's,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
I'm not sure. I think something they need to look at it because it feels like there's a bit of a lack in like diversity slash choices, and then there's a
mm,
bit of a balancing issue of like acquiring slash costs or however you want to look at it. Maybe these things will
yeah,
continue to grow, you know, in price. Maybe that will help balance it out, like because not everyone has access to it because the quest's locked, right? I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Like they're expensive as hell on the flea, but it's because they're meta, right?
Yeah, I
No
mean,
wonder because you can
there's.
wear ears. It's class 4, it covers your whole face, and
Oh,
there's no
you're talking
like.
about that? Okay.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I'm back to the
Yeah,
CQCM.
yeah. No, those are ridiculous. I used it for the guide that, and a couple, and some other psycho sniper. But yeah,
Yeah, it's like 500,000 on the flea market,
it's
right?
crazy. Which I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. Might be worth to some people. Bitcoin's pretty crazy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of like for that segment for me at least.
Okay. What did you want to do next? We kind of got like two more things. Um, Either like crouch walking or the Rilo video.
I'm down to just skip couch walking. We could maybe do it another time.
I guess it's kind of evergreen. The
Pretty
gift
well
that keeps on
much.
giving. All right, we'll muse about that the next time then. We'll talk about Mr. Rilo's lovely video, the financial report that killed Tarkov. It's kind of an interesting video. He even admits in the video itself that the title's like kind of clickbaity.
Yeah.
But you know, you got to play the game. Don't hate the player.
Hate the
As they
game.
always say. And you know, he really does a good job packaging and marketing of his stuff, and he's good at editing too.
Yeah.
His videos were a pleasure to watch. So
Yeah, he's actually really good at editing. Shout outs.
yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. But anyway, the long and short of the video that he has, I mean, there's lots of details to it, of course, but the long and the short of the video is that BSG has spent a lot of money marketing Arena, was hoping that Arena sales would drive the continued profitability of the company. That EOD being, in reality, a live service game that players pay a one-off fee for, has potentially caused them some financial issues, is the implications of the video. And this is based upon financial reporting of the international based entity of Battlestate, which is based in London. So you can see they're sort of like basic filings on Companies House. And in that, they have 2023 numbers, which has got a 65.6 million like revenue with 63.2 millions worth of losses for a 2.4 million overall like profit in this particular entity. Now, I don't know what your take is on it, and there's more details to this video, of course, but a few people have pointed out, and I've not been particularly vocal about this topic, but I've been reading a few things and have made a few comments here and there that this is BSG's like international UK entity. This is probably the entity that they run. Like, it could well be the entity that they run like at least all of the Western European servers out of, if not globally. Could well be. I don't really know. But the main point that's been pointed out by people, which is true, is that these kinds of filings are nowhere near detailed enough to make the kind of assumptions that he makes in the video about BSG's profitability. To the point at which, like, I think that there's nothing wrong or invalid with what Rilo says in the video, actually, and it is all plausible.
Sure.
It's all plausible. And you could infer from what BSG have done and the actions that they've taken, such as microtransactions, which we actually forgot to talk about. Maybe we should make a mention of stash lines a bit later.
Oh, yeah, we did forget to talk about that.
We completely
That's
forgot
what
about
the whole topic is about.
Exactly. So we'll talk about that at the end then. The narrative kind of like makes sense, so you can kind of believe it, right? It makes sense. But the issue with this kind of financial report is that, yeah, it's a corporate entity here. We have no idea what corporate entities it faces. We don't know if they have a US entity. We don't know how this entity feeds back to the mothership, which I'm sure as geopolitics has probably made that complicated and a bit troublesome in many ways. Sanctions and whatnot, right? You can't just ship money back and forth across the border anymore, I'm sure. And so the main problem is that, you really can't draw any conclusions really at all from these financial reports because of just the level of like shenanigans and engineering that you can do for companies like this. It's a private limited company. It's not public. It's not a public company. There's no stock in it or anything, right? There's like no extra reporting. Nobody has to come out and give a proper annual report showing the breakdown of all these different things. Like the very most basic scenario for all of this stuff that you can just like show out there is that this company has some kind of line in its reporting, which is licensing and intellectual property attribution, and that costs 30 million on top of all of its. And all you're doing is shifting money from one place to another. But like if one, if BSG Russia owns the licensing rights for the game, and this company pays for intellectual property and licensing rights on that basis, right? It shifts a bunch of money out and into
Right.
another
I see what you're
place where
saying.
the IP is actually held.
Yeah.
So it all depends on like the net of different corporations. Like you can have so many different companies all facing off against each other for all different kinds of things, for all different kinds of reasons. And you can do simple things like that. Even yeah, especially with intellectual property, because it's kind of anybody's guess as to how much that's actually worth, or if you're licensing it from one entity to another. There's nothing necessarily wrong with doing that, and it's very easy to shift, profit from one country to another, one entity to another for like various reasons. Um, which is why it's impossible to really draw any conclusions about what that actually means for BSG's financial situation. Despite the fact that, as I said, the conclusions that Riley comes to, I think, are actually plausible,
Sure.
but are not necessarily connected to the financial statements that he shows in the video. That's kind of where I stand on it.
Yeah, I mean, this is by no means anywhere remotely close to anything I'm comfortable, knowledgeable. This is like way too adult for me. you know? So I really don't know. And that's okay. I think that, as you said, it's plausible, but I have like literally zero idea about any stuff. I mean, the only things that really caught my eye that some people were pointing out was 900,000 paid accounts was mentioned in the year 2023 or something as like a,
That's true.
and there's always been this sort of hubbub about cheaters, lining the pockets of BSG. And 900,000 is a lot. Is that only the UK? Is that globally? Is that even a lot? I don't know. I mean, it's like what 3,500 a day new accounts. Did I do the math right on that? Human calculator can tell me.
I don't know, but because that doesn't even really 900,000 per, right?
365, right?
Yeah, so like 2,400 a day. I
Okay.
mean, I personally think 900, especially because that's like a year, I think.
Yes, that's the entire
Um,
year, I would imagine.
but that's a lot. For me, that's a lot. Like I've estimated the player base of Tarkov to be, like we've looked at this before in like the end of wipe stats or
Mhm.
whatever. You have like 50,000 people getting like max stats.
Mhm.
You've got like I don't even know what it is anymore. But when you last look, and it's sort of somewhere between 500k to a million in like the top whatever. So you look at like Hesterly, who's like not at a million, but he's above 500,000. You look at the Reddit, the number of people on there. It's like I broadly estimated those. And you look at like the videos the Battle State have done in the past or whatever. Like there's probably like at least like maybe it's lowball, but there's probably certainly a million people who've bought Tarkov, legitimately and like played. Um, and the concurrent user base is I don't know, like 300,000 people in the wipe or whatever, and then it like drops down as the wipe
Mhm.
continues. But yeah, I mean, I've roughly estimated that there's like 500,000 people who are like interested in Tarkov, roughly a million people who are like broadly interested in a very generalistic sense of either like bought it or like watched it before but haven't bought it, but like aware of the game, that kind of
Right.
thing. And maybe like over the lifetime, there's like 1.5 million or 2 million um,
Or
accounts
like
purchased or whatever.
yeah.
So on just from those like I mean this is like back of the envelope. Like I've no real basis for that other than just looking at social media metrics and
Mhm.
like other things, just gleaning information and trying to extrapolate. So on that basis, 900,000 seems like a lot to me, and actually would give weight to the cheaters thing. Actually, like when I saw that number 900,000, I was like, hell, maybe there are a lot more cheaters buying full price accounts than I thought. I don't know. Like that's the only conclusion I could come to. I just don't see how you get that many people paying for it in 1 year otherwise.
Yeah, the only other thing I could think of is that also included Arena sales because Arena came out towards the later end of 2023. Yeah, and they did pre-orders if my timeline's not totally botched here.
I wonder if that. Yeah, I mean, if it included like EOD arena accounts, then like maybe.
I would
Guess it
I wouldn't
depends on
think you
how
would
they did
double
it.
up on that. Like cuz I'm assuming like I'm making tons of assumptions. I mean, that's all this really is,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
purely assumption based, but let's say it was for the year, let's say it was globally, um, and let's say it was for each individual game type. So you got EOD, We'll be generous. We'll say it's upgrade package as well. Someone bought standard and upgraded. That's a new purchase. Let's say
Maybe.
someone bought an individual arena. That's a new purchase as well. Like I could see that maybe, but as you said, that is a lot, and I could totally see, throughout the lifetime of Tarkov, the purchase, the person that's bought the game and played at least a couple hours is probably like 2 million. I could see that. I feel like anything past that, it's just kind of pushing it because I just don't think arenas like I'm sorry, Tarkov is that popular. Like it's relatively popular, but it's also has this sort of notoriety where even people who aren't really into gaming may have heard of it through the grapevine because either it's like, oh yeah, that game is super realistic, or that game is
Mm.
like super hardcore because there's no HUD. I've heard that sentiment before in my daily life. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's the really like the core of the video, as you said, is BSG bit off more they could chew is kind of what he's getting at, and this is what prompts the microtransactions, the selling the stash lines. Which now that I think about it, I think we did talk about last episode.
I think we talked about it, but I don't think it had been released, so I don't think we knew how
Yes,
much it
I think
was.
that was the caveat. Yeah, yeah. Because now they've released it, and you can buy a line. Each line is worth like $2, I think, and you can get up to 28s.
You get 28, yeah. So I think it's like $42 for 28. I think it's just under $2 a line or
Hmm.
something.
And if you already did the event where you got the 2 free lines, that counts towards that. So you can like you for example can only buy 40 out of 20 or 42, right?
Well,
Or am I wrong?
I thought this was the case, and I think you were right, and I think it was bugged,
Oh,
and
okay.
because I think you were supposed to keep the extra 2, as I understand it, because I'm pretty sure it let me buy all of them, because I did end up going I was, like, not sure whether I was gonna buy the stash lines or not. I was like, "I don't really need it."
Hmm.
But then the other part of me, which is just like, eh, like, it's basically what I do full time. Like, I probably should just on that basis. So I just did on that, literally on that for that reason alone. I was just like, whatever. Like, if it gives me more space to like literally just showcase more video stuff
Yeah,
without having stuff in the way,
right.
then fine.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just buy it as a creator and a supporter of the game that provides my livelihood or whatever. I'll just no, fine.
And
Let's just do
you
it.
can even write off as a business expense too, yeah.
Actually, probably.
Yeah, I mean you should. I would say.
um. So yeah, but yeah, so I think you were supposed to only be able to. Well, you only could buy 26 if you'd done Terror Group Trail, but
Hmm.
then I think it was bugged, and I think you then were allowed to buy 28. And I'm pretty sure I bought
Okay.
28, so now I have like 30 extra, 2 from the thing, 28 from the purchase, and then EOD. I mean, the stash is like
Massive.
warehouse
Yeah.
level.
Just the scroll
It's
bar keeps
insane.
going.
Yeah, somebody was joking in one of the discords. I can't remember where I saw it. Someone was like, "Oh, I've got like the top bottom hotkeys. I'm going to need like a middle of stash hotkey with the the amount of space we got now."
Which makes sense that
It's
they
quite
would,
funny.
correct that because they obviously want to sell, you know, as they're at the end of the day, there is a company to run, so they obviously want to
Well, I was
make more
kind of annoyed.
sales.
I was like, I kind of I wanted to have the ability to buy all of them, even if I wasn't going to, because I was like, otherwise, it means that 2 lines of stash, I literally spent probably like 25 hours of my life for like approximately $4.
Yeah, but think about the memories along the way, Giga.
Ah, mostly awful, awful memories.
Exactly. You'll have those to take to your grave.
Oh god. So I was like, God damn it, I want 28 plus 2, god damn it. Like
Yeah.
I need that. But just the ability to, rattle us gamers with the most meaningless and mindless things. It really is remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah, the gamer brain needs to be lobotomized and studied for sure.
Mm-hmm. Dissected.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So I don't know,
So
man.
yeah.
Overall, I'm just like I think there's definitely got to be a portion of purchases that are from cheaters. And this is kind of the other interesting thing when you think about it is like, let's say you're Timbo, you bought the game, you played it for 5 hours. You you said this game sucks. You started watching videos. Uh, maybe came across a cheating montage or whatever. Point is, you end up deciding, you know what, I'm gonna see how much cheats are. Go buy cheats. You start hacking. Does that fall into the category of you bought the game as a, like, do you count that as someone, a cheater buying the game? It's like, well, technically, no.
Mm.
I think people are talking more about the idea that cheaters are just like, the game goes on sales and cheaters are just like, rejoice, yay, which I imagine there's probably some people out there that do that, but if you're running as a business, I would think you would want to lower your expenses, so you would want to buy the game as cheap as possible, which you can buy copies from third-party sellers and sites like G2A, for example. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
it doesn't, like, when I look at like that, it doesn't really make that much sense. Like, if I was in the black market, I don't see a good reason to buy from BSG
Mm.
other than like security, and maybe that's worth the extra cost. I don't know, because you're dealing with third party, and
Yeah.
from what I saw, some of these sites, like, it's like if you're buying accounts, it's basically they offer no support. It's like you go at your own risk. That's what I think was the case. So
That's why they're cheap, I guess.
yeah, maybe I don't know. Long and short of it, it's an interesting thought. I think the other takeaway is that there's this idea that this is why they did the microtransactions, which I think I can totally buy that. I mean, I think that perfectly makes sense. We've talked about it before. It just, this is it's effectively a live service game, like I've said 1,000 times, but I think it's truer than truth itself. It's practically a live service game at this point, just without the label slapped onto it. So they
I
gotta
hate
look,
the alpha beta labeling for Tarkov. I hate it. Like
yeah.
I just don't think it fits in that category.
Well, I think it's a, unfortunately, I think it's also a benefit because you kind of like write off some liability. It's like you
Mm.
acknowledge this is alpha, you get what you get, type of thing. It's like, I agree, and so I think it's
Hmm.
kind of an unfortunate state in the gaming industry.
Mm. But yeah, I don't know. I think PSG probably were hoping Arena would be bigger than it is, es- especially now. Like I think they can still revive it, whatever. But Nikita said himself that Tarkov has a strange flow to it that people buy the game once, and a lot of people have EOD. Sure, they pay for an expensive package, but it's
Mm,
still a one-off, and so they got to continue it some way. And I'd rather them do this than like close the game. I don't know if that's really on the cards, but ultimately that's what you talk about in the long term. Um, so if they feel it's necessary, then fine. I'm
yeah,
willing to support it as players. Like people who don't want to support it, they don't have to. Like it's nothing game breaking that they're offering here. It's nothing that wasn't really on offer before.
that's the other thing, right? I mean, they practically sold this previously through
Pretty
EOD,
much,
so it's like,
yeah.
I mean, now
And it's
it's,
like the extra 28 lines doesn't really touch the size compared to upgrading to EOD. In all honesty,
it doesn't
so
what.
it doesn't really matter. Like it's if you had EOD already, like say if you had standard, you could always upgrade to EOD and get loads of space.
Hmm.
If you have EOD already, you've already got loads of space. So the 28 lines, it's like kind of whatever. Like it's just a
Yeah,
small little increment. We were already there at that point, so it just doesn't really make much difference. So as long as it stays that way, and people, the people who are happy to pay for it will do, and people who aren't won't, and that's the end of it. I think that's about it. As long as they don't go crazy, which I don't think they will. I think they understand, but yeah, we'll see. Um, as per comment in chat, about paid clothing or cosmetics, whatever. If it's all cosmetic stuff and it doesn't have any impact on gameplay, and it's still like within keeping within the game spirit, again, like I'm not that fussed actually.
yeah. I mean,
Like it doesn't bother me.
I personally prefer that over stash space, like, just as a personal preference. But there are worse things out there. Buying a loadout, wipe day loadouts. Like, that would be, that's the worst. God, I think even worse would be like you scav box, but it's real life money. Drop
Yeah.
$1 into the scav case and see what loot they bring you, or something. I'm just like, oh god, kill me.
Oh man.
So yeah, check out the video. I think as we said, Reload Gaming, he does an excellent job with. He's kind of like newer to the. I don't want to say newer, but he's been branching out more into long-term content. And I think he does a really good job. Like he's really good at what he does, editing, voiceover. Like he's got that particular voice for this type of stuff, and he's good at it.
And he's covering a lot of GrayZone warfare, and his videos are probably the best videos I would say on GrayZone at the moment. If you want to get up to speed with what GrayZone warfare is about and some of the interviews that have happened, like his breakdowns are probably the best for that out there right now, I would say. So if you're interested in that game, which we've talked about a couple of times on here, then go and have a listen. RILOE, Rilo Gaming, over on YouTube. He was mainly a shorts guy, but he's like done long form recently.
We speaking of GrayZone, do we got time for a real quickie?
Real
5
quick.
minutes. Someone sent me someone that's tracking GrayZone as well sent me a video they just put out of their ballistic system, and it looks pretty interesting. So like you have the classic ricochet, where like they're in the video they're shooting at this like sheet metal that's ribbed and it's like deflecting and bouncing, penetrating, various stuff like this. But the really interesting part was when they start going to like the I guess like the ballistics gel, like in this like dev sort of like environments, these with like default textures. There's like these ballistic gels that he's shooting at, and then there's this sort of visualization of what the bullet's doing. And for example, this one that's M995, it's penetrates and it's like a very wide opening, and then it narrows down to more tubular. And I guess the point of all of this is that this is a part of the game where, because I believe some of the like 5.56, some of the rounds, like I think it might be M855. I think some people call it ball. I'm not sure, but anyways, point being, I know like one of the things, based off like history lessons, like the M16, it was like approved for Vietnam because it was like it was newer tech, whatever, ethical stuff, but like specifically the bullet would tumble. So like it would hit the target and then the bullet would tumble, so it would like cause catastrophic damage to internal organs. So the point is like they're doing all this like very realistic detailed simulation to sort of implement with their health system, and that because again it's going to be very in depth. So I think this could be very interesting to where you sort of bridge that gap where like you get shot but it's a 9mm and it maybe it goes through and through and doesn't anything important, or I don't know my ballistic stuff, but you get shot with this rifle round and it tumbles and suddenly, oh no, my guts are everywhere or whatever the case, and you have to deal with that and the repercussions of that effect. Like I think it's interesting because it's kind of like bridging that gap, kind of like we're in Tarkov where there's been talks of people wanting a more detailed, vital system, which I think could be a nice thing to have. I don't know if we'll ever get that. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's unlikely in Tarkov. I mean, in this game, it's like even more. Yeah, it's like even more complicated, the med system, and it's you've got like blood kind of from like DayZ.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like Tarkov and DayZ kind of combined, but then with like even more like vital zones, whatever. So like the actual expansion of the bullets is going to impact like how bad the injury is and like what you need to do. There seems to be like more medical stuff. It's a bit more like blood bags and that kind of thing. Because like Tarkov doesn't really have that. Tarkov's just got like tourniquet yourself and off you go.
Yeah.
other than the CMS kit, I guess. So this is a bit more detailed. It's going to be interesting to see whether it ends up being interesting or pointless. It's hard to know.
Yeah.
At this point.
I just really hope, like it seems like there's gonna be a lot of depth, and I just hope they don't make the mistake, in my opinion, that Tarkov makes, where it's like dev plus obfuscating stuff. Like if like you ever played Stalker?
No.
Okay, I played a little bit Stalker, and I think the mod, and it was like none of the medical stuff told you what anything did. You just have to like know. You know what I mean? DayZ's kind of a bit like that. It's like I wasn't aware you could just go up to a bush and just start like stripping
Pulling it
leaves
apart.
and like taking
Yeah.
make a stick and then make a bundle of sticks. Like I wasn't aware.
It's just unintuitive.
Yeah,
Is what I would
just
say.
like don't do that. Like if you're gonna have like medical stuff, like tell me what it does, or ammo. Like tell me the stats. Like I need numbers. I want to make strategic decisions. I don't want to
Yeah,
sit there and look up a wiki, watch a 5-hour YouTube tutorial. Like, please, man, I can't do it again.
Daisy crafting was very much like that when I played the
Yeah,
standalone version recently.
yeah.
When I was just like, oh, I don't know how to do any of this stuff, and it's like, okay, you just have to look it up because like otherwise it's just escape from Monkey Island, rub one thing on another thing endlessly until eventually you find the combination that works. It's like I see what they were going for, but again, you know, it's crazy.
They have someone said it best in chat. They said, "So tired of realistic being a cover for no tutorial." That's I feel that. Yeah, I don't know if I could do another game like Tarkov. It would have to really suck me in for me to be that invested.
The problem is, right, they all strive for realism, but none of them are realistic. And so they don't work like real life. They work like the game.
Right.
So you need a tutorial on like the way that game works. Like Tarkov and its armor system and the way the rolls work and the way the pen works and stuff. It's like as a real life ballistics expert, I don't know whether you wouldn't I don't know if that would actually help. Like it would give you an idea, but it wouldn't actually tell you, some of the stuff that's the best because you only figure that out by understanding the game's mechanics because all of them are it's like we've said about the new hitboxes, right? It's like right at the top of the thorax hitbox up by the collarbone is the same as getting shot right in the heart. So it's like parts of it are realistic, but other parts aren't. At some point we've got numbers for damage. Like that's not realistic either. That doesn't make any sense necessarily.
Yeah.
So it's like you can only take it so far.
I mean, I like what they're doing. They're taking real life elements and gamifying it, but just sometimes the way to go about it is just like for example, the weapon weight affecting arm stamina. There's nothing in the game that like points to that at all. You would have to like by happen chance notice a difference in your experience. And once you realize that, then how you don't even know by how much it affects it until
Yeah.
you build a simulation with Chat GPT and whatever, and then have a spreadsheet where you can plug in numbers. Like it's just like just
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine you want to do that. Just put the information in the game. Like if you got to have a handbook in the game that's like 500 pages, fine. At least it's there. You know what I mean? Like that's all I'm really asking for. Like I feel like I'm not asking for much, but apparently, the purity of the game. I don't know. It's a bit too much for me.
Or it's hyper realistic that your PMC's got a second monitor open in RAID with the wiki.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. Yeah, I don't want them to fall down. This is the thing. I don't want them to fall down the trap of like getting too like anal over the
Yeah.
hyperrealism.
Yeah.
Like make the game good and it won't matter as much. Like if things are a problem, you can change that later, you know what I mean? Like you can add in these mechanics if it's necessary. But it's also the Tarkov problem of like so many layers of mechanics like we have now, and especially with the new armor system. And it's like it's now so complicated that like none of the decisions are almost like it doesn't even matter anymore. It's a bit like a bit like Monopoly. Like Monopoly is a really funny game to bring up, but like Monopoly's. I've said this before to my family. I'm just like almost refused to play Monopoly at this point because I'm just like it's a glorified random number generator. Like it just depends on who lands on what and who buys what first.
Yeah.
Like there's not really any strategy to the game. Like yeah, maybe a little bit like economy management, whatever. But like it's basically just who buys what and then who lands on that stuff. And you may as well just each of you just roll a dice and like whoever gets the highest number wins. Like it's just it's an RNG simulator. Like there's a lot of complexity at face value, but like how deep actually is the game really?
Yeah.
Like not really. And I think there's a lot of this kind of apparent complexity, which ends up just
Yes.
devolving down into non-complexity. It's like what we've said before about the armor hitboxes, which is can you really aim in the gap between the thorax, the neck, the head hitbox, whatever? It's just like sometimes they just die in one shot, and sometimes you just die in one shot, and it's like that's the resulting emergent gameplay. It's like there's no choice. It's just the variability is you shot them 12 times with PST out of an MP5 SD into the plate and they didn't die. And then one time you shot them in the neck by accident and it did pen and they did die.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't know. I just don't want them to fall down the same trap. That's all.
Agreed. Agreed. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, I think that's good. I think that's good for now.
All right. Well, as always, thank you all for tuning in. With that, see you all next week.
Catch you later.